Well, welcome to Football Park in Phillip Oval for today's NEAFL Round 14 clash between the Canberra Demons and Sydney Uni. A crucial game for both these two sides who come in off the back of 3 straight losses. I'm Eddie Williams. Alongside me is Chris Coleman. And Chris, an 80-point loss for the Canberra Demons last week up against Aspley. They need to bounce back today, but it's going to be tough. A whole host of injuries for the Canberra side.
Absolutely, Eddie. Plenty of players out from the Canberra side. They've had to name not just the 3 emergencies who were on Thursday night's team sheet, but they've had to recall to action their playing coach, Cade Klemke, for his first appearance for the Canberra Demons for quite a while as well. So it's going to be an interesting one this afternoon. I think it will be a tough task for the home side. Sydney come into this side sitting 6th. Canberra come in 8th in the competition. They're both 4 and 7, but Sydney with superior percentage, and I think it might be a win to the visitors this afternoon, Ed.
It's looking that way. The good news story for Canberra is that 393 days after rupturing his ACL, their vice-captain Andrew Swan back in the side. Let's see if he can add a bit of a spark as we get underway. The Demons going to the right of your screen in the opening quarter to the Woden end. Sydney Uni kicking to the northern end. No one able to get a clear clearance at the moment. The ball will come out via Hiscox. Managed to get the hand pass off. Now it's kicked towards our broadcast side of the ground. Bounces. Underneath it was Richardson. Tried to tap it towards Clark. Clark had to lay a tackle. We'll get a ball up. Just here on our broadcast wing, and there's a bit of push and shove here early. We can see Sam Martin involved there. Now, some of those injuries for Canberra today, already Alex Paik, Cal Evans, Jared Osborne back in the side, but Mitch Maguire, Jack Powell, Ben Helse all out to injury. And the late changes, Angus Baker, the captain Aaron Bruce, and the co-vice captain Tom Highmore, all out injured. Some of their most important players not on the field today in Bruce, Baker, Highmore, Maguire and Powell. So a tough day for the Canberra Demons as it's thrown back in. Sam Tagliabue, the Sydney Uni captain, won it down with 2 hands to Bailey Stewart, but his hand pass didn't hit the target. There's Jordan Harper for the Demons. Kicks inside 50. No mark. It comes down to Reinhard. There goes Robertson with the hand pass, but it comes back to Harper for the Demons, who goes inside 50. He's got Harry Carr on his own and he takes the mark.
Nothing better for the Canberra Demons than when Harry Carr gets into the open spaces. Fleet of foot, played every game for the Canberra Demons this year and scored. This will be goal number 18 if he can kick this one, so he really is becoming more and more of a focal point. He's known for the spectacular goal during the course of the season, as we've got an injury potentially here for the Sydney Uni side. Keep an eye on that for us, Eddie, as Carr comes in and misses to the right from, only about 20 metres out and not much of an angle. Now, who's come off there for the Sydney Uni side?
It was Lachlan Kilpatrick limping off, and he's heavily favouring one leg. Looks like it could be a lower leg, perhaps an ankle issue there for Lachlan Kilpatrick. He's down on his haunches at the moment as Sydney Uni kick the ball back into play. They've worked it now into the corridor. That's not the best kick, and camping back, looks like that's the playing coach back in the side for Canberra, Cade Klemke. He comes towards the broadcast side. The kick is towards Mitch Hardy in game number 50 for the Demons. He takes the mark. He's playing on. He kicks. His kick is smothered, and we'll get a boundary throw in.
Good to see Canberra at the moment going for possession football, not kicking to contests. If you can do that, and do that a lot during the course of the day, you're going to rack up possessions, but also you're going to get more scoring opportunities. This Sydney side, though, known to be able to be physical, known to be able to get in there and force the contest. It won't be long before they really pick it up and maybe move much more to a man-on-man. Indeed, that's what they're seemingly doing at this throw-in that takes place at half-forward for the Canberra Demons. Tapped away by Maynard, but it comes to Sydney's advantage. Paik, it goes past, so picking it up off the ground there, it might have been Davies. Davies turned around, gave it on to Banuelos, who had a good game here in Canberra a couple of weeks back. His pass on to Stern. Stern snaps from 50. It bounces just in front of the goalpost. It turns left at Albuquerque and goes through for a major. First goal of the day, and it goes to the Sydney Uni side. They lead 6 points to 1. Not a bad goal. A snap from 50 out from Joshua Stern.
And disappointing there from Canberra, who had dominated the opening minute or two there, and suddenly Sydney Uni with their first inside 50 able to get on the scoreboard. They lead 1 straight 6. The Demons just 1 behind. We talked about Harry Carr probably being the forward to watch from the Canberra perspective. For the Sydney Uni perspective, Tristan Davies had kicked 26 goals in 10 games, but he was kept goalless last week, so keep an eye on him with that famous man bun in the Sydney Uni forward line today.
Plenty of fierce tacklers in this Sydney side as well. I was having a look at some of the stats last night. Bailey Stewart, 11 matches for the Sydney Uni side, 79 tackles across the course of the season. They've got a few other players in the lineup who are averaging well up into almost towards 10 9 tackles per game as the ball goes down in the middle. Running through there was Smout. He turned around, or tried to turn around, but couldn't get away. Straightened back up and then gets pinged for holding the ball, and so it'll be the Sydney Uni side back into attack. Now it's Tagliabue looking for options left, looking for options right, finally finds a man in space there, and that would be in Will Sierakowski. Sierakowski puts the ball into the forward line, and well, that's the easiest mark I reckon that Nick Foster will ever take in that part of the ground. He just stood there and it landed on his chest.
That's some great field kicking, though, by Sydney Uni, both by Tagliabue and then the kick inside 50, as Dennis Cometti would have said, centimetre perfect and setting up the shot on goal for Nick Foster. And the long sleeves on a coolish Canberra day, but not icy at all this morning.
No, we've had cooler conditions than this for NEAFL footy here in Canberra, as the shot on goal comes from about 30 out, and Nick Foster does it easily. 2 straight goals for this Sydney Uni side against the home side, the Canberra Demons, with just 1 point, and we've only been playing 4.5 minutes in the first quarter, Ed.
Yeah, and we're starting to see what we suspected might happen coming into this match, particularly without someone like Mitch Maguire in the midfield able to work the ball out and work the ball forward for the Demons. They're missing one of their best defenders in Riley Budd. Things looking a little shaky early on.
Well, when you're playing the clean possession game, which is what Canberra was seemingly trying to do, the problem comes if the other side decides to try and do the same thing and I think we can say on what they've got out there today, probably a higher skill level, that Sydney side, and they're going to be able to, if Canberra don't go in for the harder contests, Sydney will run away with this one, but they lead by 12-1, 5 minutes gone first quarter.
Bit of push and shove at the Canberra half-forward line as we restart. The clearance will come through Bartholomew's, who has one bounce. Kicks Sydney Uni inside 50. It's a low kick, not a great one. Chopped off by Vardaniga. His kick will be in turn probably turned over as well, as Sierakowski couldn't quite gather. Incoming through was Owen Orban. He gets the ball to the boundary line. It'll be thrown in just in front of our commentary position this afternoon. And some of those running defenders, the rebounding defenders for Canberra, not there today, the likes of Highmore and Baker. And we see Alex Paik, who's spent time in the forward line and in the ruck this season, starting this game in defence. And I dare say he'll have to spend all afternoon in defence. Good hit out by Maynard down to Smout, but he turned it over to Golden. Golden kicks Sydney Uni towards half forward. There is Alex Paik floating in to take a strong mark. He's looking as to whether he should go through the corridor, back into defence. He's going to switch perhaps. He kicks it for Billy Clark, who marks on the chest, still inside defensive 50. He goes with a short kick to Klemke. So they're just chipping it forward by degrees here, Canberra. Smout's calling for it on the opposite side of the ground. That's where Klemke will go. And Alex Smout, who'd been in excellent form up until last week when he was kept pretty quiet, he kicks inboard for Osborne. This is a good build-up by Canberra. Osborne spots the 50-gamer, Mitch Hardy. Drops a mark which he might have taken. Tried to tap it towards Martin. It comes through now to Swan. His first disposal back in the Demons' colours. Gives it to Osborne. Osborne kicks into the pocket. No mark. It'll spill to Fall. Tom Fall will fancy himself. He should have had a shot. He gave off the hand pass. That's unheard of. In comes Golden, and Sydney Uni should be able to get out of trouble.
Almost, but they turn it around, and now they do come free, and the ball goes to the man in the headgear, and that would be Luke Vella, just on the half-back flank for them. Great to see, by the way, in the background. So much advertising around the ground here too. The sponsors getting on board and making this ground look much more like a home ground for the Canberra Demons now. Vardaniga getting in the way of that kick-up ground from Vella. It's gone out on the full, has it? Well, there we go. So Vardaniga... his hand pass was must have come off the foot instead there. So we see the Sydney Uni side turn around and continue up the ground. But getting in underneath it was that Smout over there. That's Paik actually on that far side of the ground. He's got it. Half-back for the Canberra Demons. Goes for a little bit of a run. He's got Billy Clark waiting on this side of the ground. The ball will bounce a couple of times before Clark can get to it. The second gamer, and he's completely outclassed there by Stern. Ball is picked up off the ground by Hiscox. He puts his side into attack again. Now that's either a mark or a free kick. And a bit of a push and shove going on as well. I think it's that Foster in there, and a 50-metre penalty now goes for a little bit of carry on, a little bit of ill discipline in there. And, well, the coach won't be giving too many dressings downs because I think it was actually him who gave it away. And the snap comes, the quick take of the shot rather comes, and I think it was Crockmall who put that one through. Gets his second goal for the season. Doesn't get many, but they won't come any easier than that.
Yeah, free for front on contact. Would have taken the mark anyway, I suppose, and then a soft 50-metre penalty wouldn't have made too much difference. The shot on goal would have been from very close range. But ominous signs early for the Demons. They're just one behind. Sydney Uni, 3 straight 18 early in this first quarter. Coming
into today, you'd think that this game... It's early to say it, Eddie, but really the loser of this game may find themselves in trouble in terms of finding the the finals berth, bearing in mind that between 5th and 6th there's a 2-game break already, and you've got 5th, 6th and 7th all on the 4 wins here. You lose this one, it can effectively be almost an 8-point game for you in many ways. Ball goes down to the centre and Osborne takes it out for Canberra, puts it into the path of Moline. Moline can't get a handle on it, turns around, goes on his back, tries to get the hand pass away, goes into the pack and out again. Osborne charged in to try and get it, couldn't get it. We're waiting for it to come clear now. Coming in over the top was Lupton. Haven't seen a lot of him for the Canberra Demons. In fact, just his second game. There's a few second gamers out there for Canberra, and we'll get a ball up here. It's a very inexperienced Canberra side this afternoon, Eddie, up against a very determined Sydney Uni side who are looking to cement their place in the top 6. As we'll get a secondary ball up just on the corner of the square, attacking half of the field for the Canberra Demons.
Yeah, pretty determined Sydney Uni. They lost after a late goal to Bobby Hill for the Giants last week. Just a 2-point loss, but both these sides, same number of wins, 6th and 8th. They're only separated by a percentage, and Canberra had won their past 3 against the Students as Tom Fall gives off another hand pass. Here's Lucas Moline, straightens up, fires at goal and kicks the Demons first.
Much needed goal, early to say it, but much needed goal. That takes the Canberra Demons on to 7, Sydney Uni on to 18. And Moline, he is a player I saw a bit of in the RFL a couple of years back. He is a player who can take a game by the scruff of the neck. I don't recall him really having done so in a NEAFL jersey. Maybe, we've seen him get involved a couple of times today. Maybe today he will be doing just that, knowing that his side needs a few of what's not called fringe, but few of their second tier players to really lift and show that they're NEAFL worthy.
And given some of the experience they're missing, Lucas Moline today becomes one of their more senior players. And good play there by Tom Fall with the goal assist. We sometimes joke a little about his ability and his desire to have a shot from any position, but we've seen that twice today. The ball's come to Tom Fall, and rather than looking straight at goal, he's looked to dish it off and set up one of his teammates. We're back in the middle with Maynard and Tagliabue. Sydney Uni working it forward again, but Harper's certainly been putting his body on the line today for the Students. Came out to Martin. Now it's back to Vardaniga. Kicks to the broadcast wing for Richardson to try and run onto the ball. He soccers it forward towards Tom Fall. Fall gets away from his opponent, slips over, gives it back to Richardson. Richardson to Hardy. There was a throw in there, and it's a Sydney Uni free kick.
It is indeed. Harry Carr has come off the ground, and he's now got white boots on, and they look absolutely brand new. Just wondering whether those new boots have just been put on or whether he was wearing them earlier. We'll find out later. Andrew Sierakowski, there's 2 of them playing for Sydney today, but he goes forward for his side, but it becomes a turnover. And the Demons will come up with it. Now there's Billy Clark. Gee, he's trying to inject himself into the game. He's really calling for it. Martin, however, goes for the shorter hand pass, and that's not a very good option. I'm not sure who it was who's taken the ball, because as soon as he got it, it was
Lupton, I think.
Lupton who got it, and as soon as he got it, he was monstered and had no chance.
Well, doesn't that mean he didn't have prior opportunity?
He had one step and then got monstered and lost was taken to ground. So Sydney going to attack once again. Banuelos was the target in the forward line. It's bouncing around at the moment. No one can get it. Umpire will ball it up again, about 30 out. He had enough time when he got the ball, had one step, and that was enough time, but there you go. Ball goes up in the end. No one really able to gain the ascendancy. It may have been Stewart in there for the Sydney side. Now in there is Vella. He has the ball, but it's held to him. We'll get another ball up here. 12 gone in this one. Canberra trailing by 11 at the moment. That's the first 3 goals to Sydney, if you just joined us this afternoon. And Sydney shaping up for their 4th one at the moment as the ball is on the ground. Hand pass comes through. And straight into traffic. So a little bit of luck for the home side as they find a free kick in there for... I didn't see what the signal was for, but they've got the free, and it'll be coming back out via, Josh Maynard, the big man, gets the free kick. And he'll look to go short-ish. Big trouble, and you've got 2 Sydney players who almost collide with each other, and it's Tagliabue. So big man to big man.
He's dished off, Chris.
He's dished it off, and the hand pass has gone back. Was it Stewart who had it? The ball is going towards goal. I'm not sure if it was Stewart or Goulden who had the shot.
I thought it was Stewart.
Well, we'll give it to him for the moment, but it's 4 straight for Sydney Uni. They're kicking straight here at Canberra this afternoon, and they are really giving the Canberra Demons a kicking. Sydney Uni, 4 straight goals. The Canberra Demons, 1-1-7.
Pretty still conditions today, so not too many excuses to be missing, but we have seen for some reason Phillip Oval and all the grounds in Canberra are sometimes difficult to kick accurately at. Sydney Uni certainly doing that today. 4 straight 24. The Demons 1-1-7.
Veal has been awarded the goal there by the champion data stats team. So They had the luxury of being able to keep an eye on him afterwards. We had to watch the ball and see where it went. So Veal, the man, gets the goal. His first 4 different goal kickers for the Sydney Uni side this afternoon.
So we're back in the middle. A big job again for Josh Maynard today against Sam Tagliabue. We saw the Demons play 2 ruckmen last week against Aspley with Luke Jamison coming into the side, but Jake Spencer pretty comprehensively winning the ruck battle last week. Now, the umpires have pointed something out here. I suspect perhaps there'd been a breach of the 666. One team may have received a warning here, and the umpire will now throw the ball up. So Maynard and Tagliabue. Probably Maynard getting the better of that one. Harper had to lay the tackle as Sydney Uni get another clearance. They worked backwards, though. It'll come now to the wing to Sirakowski, who runs inboard, gets around Harper, turns onto the left boot, kicks the students towards half forward to Williams, who marks strongly up against Billy Clark. He dishes off straight away by hand to Robertson. Now the kick comes inside 50. Pakes tracking it back. He fell over. That lets the students in, but the Demons there in numbers. Klemke hands it back to Vardaniga, who's been busy early. Gives it to Carr. We don't often see Carr in the full back line. Demons doing pretty well to work this one out round the far side to Richardson. Richardson's kick is to a contest. Owen Orban was there. It comes to ground now to Stewart. Sydney Uni with possession. He'll come backwards now towards Robertson. He goes with a precise kick towards the outer side. No one can take the mark, and now the ball back in the Demons' hands. They get it with a high kick to the wing here. Underneath it was Carr. At the front was Pollock. Pollock will get the footy, and he's off and running. Goes by hand. The Demons just inching it forward. It's at their half-forward line. It's in dispute. We'll get a ball up here, I reckon we do.
Demons are being out-muscled here so far, Eddie. The Sydney Uni side, they've come to play, and they've come to play physical footy. Lots of bumps happening, and I'll tell you what, there's a bit of niggle as well off the ball in some parts of this ground as well. But the Canberra side go into the forward 50 now. A little hand pass comes inside. It was targeted there at Adamson, but he couldn't get control of it. In fact, it was a Sydney Uni player who got it. Adamson got in for the tackle. Umpire will ball it up about 40 around from the Canberra goal. As you mentioned, Eddie, almost no breeze to speak of here this afternoon. So good conditions. Ground softened up by just a little bit of overnight rain, but it's had a chance to dry. As the ball comes out for Canberra, now it goes towards Pollock. Pollock, he gives it off to a teammate, and the shot is, well, ordinary would be generous, and indeed, does it hit the post? I think it has actually hit the post there before Corbett could get hold of it, so it'll be a throw-in. Take place now right next to the Canberra goals. If they've got someone who can grab and snap, well, it may wind up with them. So who's going into the ruck work? It looks like it's Corbett, but Tagliabue gets the best of it. Now the ball is on the ground, being contested in the goal square. Coming through was Reinhardt for the Sydney Uni side. Tried to tap it through for a rush behind, and I think it's eventually going to roll through for one, so that'll make Canberra 1-2-8. The Sydney Uni side, 4 straight goals, 24. But very scrappy football from both sides as the ball comes back out. Tagliabue, big man, reaches his arms up and takes the mark on the defensive 50.
So Tagliabue gives the hand pass off, and the students look to get things going quickly, but Cade Klemke's intercepted the ball, gives it back to Osborne. Osborne feeds it back for Vardaniga. Wasn't the best hand pass. Osborne has to try and go in and mop up. He gives it to Clark. Clark's handball is in between 3 players. Martin knocked it on to Moline. Moline, a clever paddle there by Owen Orban. It eventually ends up with Osborne. Osborne sends the ball towards half forward. Maynard did well with the body there. Lets Pollock run onto the ball. Pollock just outside 50. Kicks it to the hot spot. Good play there by Sydney Uni, and the mark's taken by Carroll. He kicks out to the back pocket, marked there by Golden, and they're off and running on the outer side now, Sydney University. What can they create from this rebound off half back? The kick there is for Stern. He goes quickly towards half forward to Foster. Foster could have a shot here. He puts it up. It's off the hands there of Jake Bartholomew's, behind to Sydney University, their first of the afternoon. They're 4-1-25, the Demons 1-2-8.
The Sydney University side already getting to the point, Eddie, where they can almost start raffling these goals off as they go forward. But have Canberra got something to respond with? Well, we'll find out as they come around the grandstand side here at Footy Park. Well, they attempt to anyway. Ball now bounces back in path of Aino. Aino turns around, puts it up towards Pollock. Pollock covering plenty of ground. It's centre half back now. Got a couple of options to his right, and he goes short and finds Osborne. Osborne looking for someone, finds Smout, short ball, inch perfect, and he gets the mark on the interchange gates. Now the subterranean pass is retrieved there by Cole for Sydney Uni. He goes short to Hiscox. probably just too far out to score. So who's he got going up? There's a few players running into the goal square now. Davies might be one of them. It wasn't Davies, it was actually Stern who went up for the mark, and he's copped a high contact there, and he will get the shot from about 30 out. We've already seen him snap one through from about 50 out. This one should be much easier for him.
And it's been a pretty even start in terms of possession winners across the ground. The standout is Jared Osborne for Canberra with 8. Smout and Klemke have 5, and then a whole host of players on both sides with 4 disposals. But it's Josh Stern with the footy directly in front, and should be a pretty straightforward kick on goal, as we say, on such a still day.
Well, he did have, as we mentioned, the first goal of the day, the snap from right on the 50-metre arc from memory. This one from considerably closer, about 60% of that distance, and he comes in from directly in front and puts it between the perpendiculars. And Joshua Stern has 2. The Sydney University side have 5, and they go on to 5-1-31. The Canberra Demons 1-2-8, 19 and a half gone. Opening quarter here, and boy, it looks like it's going to be a tough day at the office here for the Canberra Demons. As the ball comes back into the middle. We haven't mentioned the umpires today. We probably should do that. Sam Nipris, Aaron Langdon and Sam Herford are the field umpires today. The boundary umpires, Matt Thompson, Liam Cashin and Ben Feely. And the goal umpires are Dale Purin and Kim Schultz. They are in the high-vis yellow-green. Lime green?
Yeah, lime green.
We'll go with lime green.
Raiders green.
Well, appropriate for Canberra. Ball bounced down in the middle of the park, and the tap goes down towards Smout. Smout snaps the ball forward into, well, just onto the 50-metre line there, where it was Carr was trying to do something with it, but only tapped it down to a contest. Plenty of players coming in, and the umpire will go for another ball up 50 out from the Canberra Demons goal. Canberra really need the next one. They're already down by just shy of 4 goals. Wouldn't want that margin to get much more than that. Smout grabs it off the ruck contest. Back into the pack goes the ball. We'll wait and see if anyone can bring it out. Plenty of players trying to get a hand pass free, but no one able to. Waiting for the umpire to decide the whistle needs to be blown. And after some deliberation, Aaron Langdon decides he will indeed blow the whistle and go for yet another ball up. Let's see if you can get it out of that 50-metre area. Ready?
The Woden Blues doing a great job today here, Chris. They're hosting a number of games after the NEAFL in the local AFL Canberra competition. The barbecue's smelling excellent. There'll be a good crowd here this afternoon. Reece Pollock takes the ball, looks at the goals, puts it through. Pollock's got 1. The Demons have 2.
You talked about the barbecue. That's a great sausage roll there. Reece Pollock turns around on a dime and pops it through. Canberra going to 2-2-14, Sydney Uni 5-1-31.
He's a great opportunist, Reece Pollock, a Marist College junior. Knows where the goals are, is able to create something, and he certainly created something there. And another desperately needed goal. Just keeps the Demons in touch. They're only 17 points behind, and the stats tell us that they're in the game. They've had a lot more of the ball, 65 disposals to 50. They've had the same amount of marks, slightly fewer tackles. The students well ahead in free kicks, but Canberra dominating in the ruck at this point. The clearances are even. The inside 50s are virtually even. It's just what they're doing with the ball, and Sydney Uni has been a lot more efficient, where Canberra perhaps overusing it a little, perhaps a few too many turnovers, but on that occasion, a good setup, a good goal by Reece Pollock.
Well, Smout and Harper waiting around for the bounce here, as Maynard goes in for the Demons and waits for it to come down before tapping it down into the path of a teammate, and that is the aforementioned Harper. He just decides to run to 50, takes the shot. No, it falls just short. On the ground there is Pollock. He's got 1, decides this time to give it off to a teammate. That man is Swan. Swan has the shot at goal, comes cut short by Reinhardt. It wasn't 15, so play on. Ball in the bottom of the pack and hotly contested, just pings out. And I think it's actually gone out just outside the post. It has. Boundary umpire says he's going to throw this one in. So Canberra with a chance to get 2 goals in a minute and suddenly close this one right up. Ball comes back into play at the southern end of Footy Park in Phillip. And best of the tap goes to Stern, moving into the ruck for Sydney Uni, as it's a clearing kick into the path of Stern. So he's not only won the tap, then it's gone to somebody else, and then he chases it out, but it bounces over the boundary line, just bounces over the line, and it will be a throw in here. Ground looking a little bit more brown. We get that here in Canberra in the middle of winter, by the way. Plenty of frosts we've had in the last couple of weeks. As the ball back into play once again. Vella tries to shark it off the ground. Coming through instead, though, was Swan for Canberra. His kick is well off target, and it's out on the full. It'll be the Uni side to bring it back into play, just in front of the cricket centre, and it'll be Adam Goulden who does that. Goes short to centre half back, and Veal has it now for them. Veal looks for options. He's got Will Sierakowski open to his left, but instead goes for the short pass. So Sydney Uni at the moment just happy to hang on to the pill. in their own defensive territory and now work it around the far side of the ground. And I think that may have been actually the other Sierakowski. It was Andrew Sierakowski who winds up with the mark at the halfback flank.
It was interesting to see Andrew Swan doing the ruck there for Canberra before. He's 191 centimetres tall, so not too short, but not the tallest ruckman you'll see. I guess with Paik in defence today and only one ruckman, Maynard, we may have to see Andrew Swan in the ruck a little more for Canberra. As Golden takes the mark on the chest inside 50, a pretty easy build-up there for Sydney Uni. He thought about playing on, but he elects to go back, take the shot and try and kick the students 6th for the quarter.
Well, he had the kick in a few minutes ago, and this Sydney Uni side, they're surging up the ground in numbers, Eddie, and it's posing all sorts of defensive challenges for the Canberra Demons, who are, again, proving just a little bit undermanned in some parts. And this one, again, shouldn't be terribly hard for Goulden from about 45 out directly, almost directly in front.
So Adam Goulden played 5 seasons in the Sandful with South Adelaide, kicks from just inside 50. He started it out to the right. It won't come back. Tristan Davies tried to take mark of the year. He couldn't. It's a minor score, and the Sydney Universities tick up to 5-2. 32, Canberra 2-2-14.
Yeah, Davies trying to use the opposition as a step ladder. Probably needed a couple of fire trucks to get high enough for it. Now flying was Connor Owen Auburn. Ball comes free, and it'll be the Demons who get it. And I think it might be
Sydney Uni free.
Sydney Uni free in there. Latish call as the ball's come free. Billy Clark was about to break away with it, but instead it goes to the opposite number. Edward Cole, he's had a good game so far. Plenty of possessions for him. And there you go. You give the guy a rap and he kicks into the man on the mark. Bartholomew tries to get it. He can't do anything with it. Now it's Owen Auburn. He finds Osborne. Osborne gets the ball back to Smout. Smout by hand onto Swan. Swan by right foot goes into the forward territory. The only man down there for the Demons is Fall. And Fall at the fall of the ball takes the mark just outside 50. He's got a couple of players to go on to running around the outside. Adamson. He could go with Hardy instead. He's about 65 out, Eddie. If he can kick it from there, he'll be some sort of a miracle man, but instead he's put it deep into the pocket, and it has been a mark taken just inside the field of play for the Canberra Demons by that man Pollock. He's having a day. He decides not to have a shot because he's got standing right in the teeth of goal. He had... was it Harper? It was Harper. Harper gets the kick away, then gets cleaned up, but gets the major anyway. And the Demons pull another one back. 3-2-20 for the home side. The Sydney Uni side 5-2-32. And, well, this one's starting to close up a little bit, Ed. I
think that was one for the highlights reel there from Canberra. Tom Fall had no right to take that mark, but he held on. Good vision to spot Pollock, and then clever play from Pollock to see Harper. And somehow Harper getting the kick away in time before he was mowed down. And Canberra have 3, and suddenly it's a 12-point ball game.
It wasn't going to be a mark to Harper. It was never 15 metres, so it was always going to have to be, well, get it and kick it straight away. So situational awareness, a 10 out of 10 for the Canberra Demons side. They get 6 points for it, and they trail by 12. And we're 26 and a half gone in the first quarter.
As the sun comes down on Phillip Oval here, Football Park, home of the Canberra Demons. Great to see a few more signs on the ground today, and the Woden Blues hosting a number of matches. As we mentioned, Canberra should get another clearance here through Alex Smout. His kick didn't come off exactly as he would have liked, but it finds Vardaniga, who gives it back to Martin. Martin will give it back to Vardaniga. He's under pressure from Foster. Has to give it back to Martin. They're waxing the 2 Canberra Demons defenders. Moline gives it off. Martin keeps on running. He kicks down the line. Pretty good kick in the end, and it looks like Hardy, the 50-gamer, goes inside 50. That wasn't his best kick. It's been chopped off, and so Sydney Uni again able to rebound from 50. Sierakowski with the ball. A high looping sort of a hand pass. Ended up okay. They come with a kick now towards Williams. Knocked away from him by Paik. Came down to Smout, so another chance for Canberra. Jared Osborne's been impressive today. That's a good little kick for Adamson. Adamson will go inside 50, and Hardy dives and takes the mark.
Lucky call perhaps for Hardy there, but he got control of it as it went to ground. This will be right on the edge of his scoring range, you'd reckon, Eddie. He'll be kicking from a 52, maybe a smidgen closer. Difficult angle, but really an important kick here. Could take them within a goal as we get deep into time on here in the first quarter.
So Mitch Hardy, game number 50, recruited to the Demons from Leighton Witten in the Riverina. He was named in the NEAFL Team of the Year last season. He kicks from just outside 50, and the goal umpire did not have to move.
Did I say just on the edge of his kicking range, Eddie? He's put that through halfway up the post. He could have kicked it from another 10 out and it would have got it through.
So the 50-gamer gets on the scoreboard, and all of a sudden things have tightened up, and the margin is just 6 points.
You got to love footy. You got to love footy. You start talking something up and then the opposite happens. 6 points the difference. We could be all square at the break here, Ed. The home side could even have the lead.
What an entertaining quarter. We've seen some good
Fantastic.
football today. Both sides prepared to take the game on. And that's led to an entertaining game. Plenty of shots on goal and pretty high scoring so far.
Canberra ringing the changes as well. Richardson, Carr, Osborne and Owen Orban all about to return to the field of play as the Demons start to ring some changes late here. 29 gone as we wait for the return of the ball to the middle. It's back there now. And 6 points the difference. Good bounce from the umpire. Canberra get the best of it, but it goes down towards Stewart for the Sydney side. Couldn't do anything with it, and as a result, it was Moline who got the kick away. Only though, as far as Stevenson for the Uni side, short pass, and it comes back around. Second pass onto Stevenson. He sells a little bit of candy, gets caught by Smout. Should be a free. Is a free. Canberra will get it. Smout thinks about playing on. Maybe better served to wait for a moment. Does in the end play on. Puts the ball into the hot spot. It's been taken there by, was it Corbett who had it? It was. Corbett's hand pass, though, ineffective. Morrison cuts it off. Sydney Uni, they've come up with possession, but they're not out of trouble yet. Ball comes clear now. Kicked away. It may have been Goulden who sent it back upfield for them. Into the path of Williams. Williams tries to get a pass away. Gets a tap onto a teammate. Now the ball comes back in. They've got some numbers here. Bartholomew's. He goes for the short ball. It's only going to need one more pass here. They're going to build up some time. Coming out of the middle of the park there, it was Will Sierakowski. Sierakowski then goes on to Morrison. Morrison, he goes for the short pass, and he's found support. Half forward flank on the far side. And instead of going for the set play there, was it Cole who had it? It was, and then went to Banwellis. Now we see Hiscox as the ball comes back to him. He snaps from just outside 50. It comes off the hands of the pack. And the snap shot from on his backside. Is it Stern again? I think it was. Hard to pick him because he was going to ground and he snapped it almost sitting on the ground.
It might have been Williams.
Was it Stern or was it Williams? I think it was Williams, actually. Stern was in the vicinity, but the pats on the back were going to Williams after the event. Either way, it's another goal to the Sydney Uni side, and they stretch the elastic band and get back out to a 12-point break, getting up towards the 31-minute mark.
And this game becoming pretty frenetic, Chris. I think they have credited that goal to Josh Stern, his third.
And if they have indeed, yes, I can see that on the champion data numbers now. So Stern with 3 goals for this quarter from 5 kicks.
Well, that's efficiency.
That's not bad.
And he's an impact player.
Well, certainly is
the
today.
The umpire's fallen over.
Speaking of impact, ball goes into the forward line for Canberra. That's got to be a push in the back, surely. Goulden. No, umpire says play on, so the ball now goes into the path of Lupton for the Canberra side. Through a couple of hands. Harper was one of them. He sent the ball back to Martin. Martin finding support in the forward 50 from Lupton again. Lupton goes on to fall. Well, he decides to back himself. You called for it earlier, Eddie, and it didn't quite work out for him. And through for a minor score, 11 points the break here at 32 minutes. It's 38-27.
Just pulled the trigger a little early, perhaps there, Tom Fall. Looks like Veal will do the kick-in duties here for Sydney Uni. He goes with a high ball towards Davies. Also Tagliabue floating in from the side. Couldn't take it. Comes down to Hardy, who gives it to Martin. His hand pass is knocked out of play, and we'll get a boundary throw-in right in front of the Sydney Uni interchange bench between wing and half forward for Canberra, who trail by 11 points. We've gone more than 32 minutes in this first quarter. It has been a high-scoring quarter, hence the longer length of time. It's thrown in. Maynard in front. Tagliabue at the back. Kicked forward by Sydney Uni and then taken out of bounds on the full by Josh Stern. Just bounced off his boot. And so Sam Martin, with the resulting free kick, gives the Demons another chance to head forward late in the quarter. Tom Falls calling for it inside 50. He goes in that sort of direction. He flies pretty high, Tom Fall. Couldn't bring down the mark. It's dribbled forward Sydney Uni's way, but Osborne and Smout are there. Smout takes the ball. He kicks it out in the fall. He kicks it over towards the cricket centre. And so it'll be a Sydney Uni free kick over in the corner of the ground. Adam Goulden to take the ball after it's eventually brought back inside the playing surface.
Well, they did have to put on a cab from Western Creek to get that one back.
Unfortunately, it can't catch the tram for a few extra years, but that's a separate issue. Good mark by Sam Tagliabue overhead in front of Maynard. And now late in the quarter, perhaps it's the students with a chance to score.
Well, it won't be as the siren sounds, but at the end of a very entertaining first quarter, which went 33 and a bit minutes, it is the home side 4-3-27, trailing the visiting Sydney Uni 6-38. But what a game we've got in prospect here. We thought it may have been a tough ask for the Canberra side, but they're hanging on and showing at times that they can certainly match and indeed do better than the visiting side. But Joshua Stern proving to be, as Eddie said a few moments ago, an impact player. He has 3 goals for the Sydney Uni side. They have 6 and they lead by 11 at quarter time. This is NEAFL TV on Bar TV. 1 quarter down in what was expected by a lot of people to be a fairly comfortable win for the Sydney Uni side today, bearing in mind the Canberra Demons have come in under strength. But it's just an 11-point ball game here at Football Park in Phillip, with the visitors leading 6-2-38 over the Canberra Demons 4-3-27, led by 3 goals to Joshua Stern, the Sydney University side, 6th versus 8th. As we get into the second quarter, Chris Coleman and Eddie Williams bringing you the action on this Saturday afternoon on NEAFL TV, as the ball back in the middle of the ground, as it's Maynard to go up against Tagliabue, and well, the ball goes maybe marginally in Canberra's direction. Harper picks it up off the ground, but as soon as he picks the ball up, he is picked up by an opposition player. It'll be a secondary ball up just on the edge of the circle, and the umpire wastes no time at all in getting the ball into the air. Maynard gets the tap. It goes down towards Vella. Now comes out Sydney's advantage. Stevenson it was who had it. Comes out towards a teammate, but now it's all Canberra at the moment. Richardson chasing it around, gets the ball, gets a little hand pass away to Moline. Moline finds a way through, gets the ball away, picked up off the turf by Tagliabue for the Sydney Uni side. He runs back into the pack, and the umpire will ball it up again as it was heading back in towards the centre of the ground. So not a lot of movement at the moment. Tagliabue, almost uncontested, takes the tap down. Adamson, I think it was for Canberra, who got it. It wasn't Adamson, it was actually Harper again. So Harper winds up with the ball at the bottom of the pack, and another ball up to take place. We're moving by degrees around the ground here, in between little ball ups and further little ball ups. Trying to get the ball out from underneath this time was Vella. May have been Evans who got a pass away from underneath it all, but now charging through is Cole for the students. He's taken high, and he'll get a free kick just on the edge of the centre circle. And Canberra will need to be careful there that Harper doesn't give away a 50, and indeed they don't, as the ball's sent forward for the students. Very quick play onto Hiscox. Hiscox goes out towards the wing, and he gives it towards Tristan Davies, who, has he let his hair down? He has. And now he charges in with the right foot, puts the ball into the goal square, bounces off the hands of the pack. Crotchmore, the man, looking in underneath it, trying to get it away. Can't see him doing anything with it. And Canberra, they come away with it again. It's flirting with the boundary line. It bounces in the field of play, bounces the second time in, and then takes the left turn before it can be obtained by either over Pollock or for the Sydney Uni side. I think it was one of the Sierakowskis. It was Andrew Sierakowski, and also in there Darcy Caldwell, but a throw in right on the interchange gates in front of us here at Footy Park.
Now the ball just landed in a puddle underneath the front row of the seats here, so it's going to be a little bit wet as it's thrown back into play. Tagliabue in front, took it out of the ruck, gave the hand pass off, but in comes Moline, who was met pretty heavily after he got rid of the ball. He gave it off to Carr, who gives it to Owen Orban. Owen Orban into the corridor for Clark. No one could take the mark. In fact, it was Evans who was in front. Coming through was Pollock. He hands it off to Osborne, who's been very busy early in this match. His kick is turned over to Sierakowski, who gives it to Cordell. Cordell kicks to the wing towards Foster. In there too was Clark, but coming in and taking the mark, in fact, was Tristan Davies. He goes with a short kick into the middle of the ground. It'll end up with Cole, originally from Tasmania, Edward Cole. He gave it off to Bartholomew's. Bartholomew's with a high kick inside 50. Pake did well, couldn't bring down the ball. Hiscox taps it to his own advantage, rolls onto the left, rolls it towards goal, but misses to the left-hand side. Another behind for Sydney University. They're 6-3-39. An even 2-goal lead over the Canberra Demons, who are 4-3-27.
Wait and see which way the Canberra Demons go. They go with the short ball, and it gets to Spina. Spina, he then spots Hardy on his own. Hardy has plenty of time to do something with it. Gives it off to Smout, in fact, on the burst around the boundary line. Now looking up forward was Swan. Gets maybe just a boot to ball in there. Not sure it will count as a kick, but it dribbles along the ground. Cleared away a short distance by Reinhardt. Reinhardt then has, well, I'll tell you what, if you were a cricketer and you could get a ball to turn like that, you'd be absolutely ecstatic. That spun left, spun right. Davies was looking absolutely flummoxed by it and sees it trickle over the boundary line. So we're back where we were just a few minutes ago, and the ball coming back into play, half forward flank for the Sydney University students. Maynard gets in front position. Tagliabue runs around him, grabs the ball, pops it down to Vella. Vella then finds Morrison. Morrison goes to the short ball to the man with the long sleeves in Foster. Foster in towards the hot spot where Davies was waiting, but Davies couldn't get there in time, and it's taken by Spina for the Canberra side. Now, Spina went there around this grandstand side last time. This time he goes on the far side of the ground, and there's plenty of Canberra players in there. Harper winds up with it now. He goes for the short ball. They continue to work it over to the other side of the ground. Is that Maynard who's gone across? else? I think it might.
Klemke with the ball.
Klemke's got it, in fact. There we go. So he's moved up a little bit up the ground, has Klemke. Now, who's on the inside? Well, they had Richardson on the centre circle, but instead there's plenty of other contests for the ball. Maybe Pollock in there. I can see Osborne standing just off to the side of the pack, but the umpire is going to take control of it. It's Aaron Langdon who gets the ball, and it'll be a ball up on the wing. Into the air it goes. And Canberra get it to their advantage. Now waiting underneath it is Swan. It goes past him. Trying to bring it to the ground was Reinhardt. Fall has it. Fall turns around, gets it into the path of Carr. Carr puts it on the ground. Now it's with Swan. He just has to step around one. Oh, he makes us step around two and turns a fairly simple goal into a very nice looking goal. Welcome back to the NEAFL, Andrew Swan, as he gets his first of the day and closes the gap to 6 points.
And a big cheer from the Canberra Demons home crowd and the group of the non-playing players sitting in front of us. Andrew Swan, 393 days after rupturing his ACL, the vice-captain captaining the side today because everyone else is injured, and he's kicked his first goal of the afternoon. A great return for Andrew Swan.
Got the ball, almost got into one tackle, got out of that one, but him getting out of the first one, another Sydney University player came after him, got out of the second tackle, banged it through, low trajectory. He'll enjoy that one, and I hope he enjoys watching the replay.
They've kicked a few from close range like that, Harper and Pollock as well. So, and they're pretty hard to miss from 10 metres out if you can get the ball in that area.
Don't say that, Eddie. Don't say that, Eddie.
Well, nothing's impossible.
He'll put the moz on them. We'll see 5 get missed from 10 metres out in the next 10 minutes. Now you watch. Ball back in the middle. Bounce down. And Maynard gets the best of it. Who was it in the ruck there? I think it was Williams in the ruck there for the Sydney Uni side. Again, plenty of people coming in for it. Smout tries to thieve it out rugby union style from the bottom of the pack, but he gets set upon, and it'll be another ball up about 10 metres from whence we came.
So it's thrown up. Maynard and Williams go at it again. Maynard knocks it forward to Smout. Knocked it back to Smout, who got out of trouble, kicked inside 50 towards Swan. The kick didn't really favour him. Coming through is Carroll, who runs out, kicks it for Stewart, who takes the mark, looks to play on quickly, kicks it to the wing, but coming through was Klemke, who knocked the ball to ground. Evans was there as well. Klemke and Evans following up together. They create a stalemate. The umpire's going to ping someone here, I think. He does, holding the ball. Free kick Canberra.
Big chance here, and that's some great leadership from Klemke, just showing that really get in there and just keep contesting for the ball. And you've got a chance to put your side deep into attack, and now they do go back inside the forward 50 again. Gordon the best on it, but he can't get control of it. Comes down towards Carr. Carr is dumped after he kicks the ball. Now it's gone out on the full, and it will be a kick back into play from Sydney. And I was just waiting to see whether there was a kick downfield awarded there for Carr being dumped, but all fair and legal.
So Sydney Uni to take the free kick once the ball is retrieved, and they'll again look to use the outer side. They've turned it over. Hardy's taken the mark.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that coaches, and I can just imagine Tom Morrison will have a look at that and just shake his head. You can't do much about it when a player just kicks low and direct at an opposition player. You really can't do much about it, can you, Ed?
No, so perhaps a gift here for Mitch Hardy in game number 50. Kicked one goal in the first quarter from just outside the 50-metre arc. A closer kick this time, but on a slightly more severe angle out to right half forward. Mitch Hardy with the right foot drop punt makes the goal umpire do a little bit of work, but it's goal number 2 for Hardy. And the scores are level.
Said it before, Eddie. You got to love footy.
It's 6-3, 39 apiece.
Well, we're back where we started. We've got all square on the scoreboard and plenty of scoring happening as well. Bear in mind the Sydney Uni side came into this game with a percentage advantage of about 13 points over Canberra. So Canberra really do need to get the win here, and they need to rack up a few more points as well. But at the moment, they'll just be happy to be in it with the injury toll that they've had over the past couple of weeks, and some of the big names are missing from the Canberra Demons lineup. And yeah, 6-3, 39 apiece, 8.5 gone in the second quarter.
So we're back in the middle, and it's Williams going up in ruck against Harry Carr this time. So certainly not the two preferred ruckmen. Tagliabue and Maynard obviously having a rest. Williams tacks it out of the ruck. He's tackled by Carr. Hand pass was intercepted by Smout. He was immediately tackled as well. The umpire has paid a free kick here. It will go to Alex Smout. Perhaps a bit of heavy contact. He wasn't behind his mark when he took the free. In fact, it's not Smout's free. Looks like it'll be Jordan Harper perhaps in the middle to take the free kick. He kicks it out to the wing. now that we've cleared all that up, and Vardaniga takes the mark. His kick is forward. Looks like Moline has marked between wing and half forward. So a slower, steady build-up. In fact, it's Sam Martin who goes to the right half forward flank. Mitch Hardy's got it again. Probably too far out to score this time. He's got Harry Carr calling for it inside 50. Owen Orban is making a lead short. In the end, he just chips it back to Vardaniga, continuing to rack up possessions today, stepping up in the absence of Baker and Highmore. Vardaniga kicks towards the hot spot. Fall crashed the pack. Swan was there as well. No one could earn a clear possession, and we'll get a ball up deep inside 50 for Canberra.
Playing across the ground there for Canberra may have been the option. They had Spina and who else was there? I think Aino was also open further across the ground, but instead going for the short ball. Ball up in the air, tap down, won by Williams for the students, back into the pack. Plenty of players over the top of it. We'll see if it comes out. It does. Comes out maybe just marginally favouring the Sydney Uni side. I think it was Robertson who had a handle on it before he went back to ground. And the gravity still working nicely here. Another ball up just outside the goal square. Canberra with a chance to take the lead, and they do get the lead touched off the boot, so it'll be a behind, but they take the lead by 1 point, 6-4-40 to the Sydney Uni side, 6-3-39, 10.5 gone.
As the umpire just calls time off, and Harry Carr just a little bit slow to get to his feet there, but he's up okay now.
I think he had about 5 people on top of him, so we'll let him have a moment to take a breath as the ball comes back into play, and Sydney Uni bring it up the middle through Goulden. Goulden then on to the most easily distinguishable man on the field today in Luke Vella. Vella then sends it forwards and finds Stewart. Stewart brings it around the outer side, and they almost come undone. Ball in contest there. Smout was high, Pake was low. Smout, the man who continues to go on with it as the ball comes now free. Might be Goulden. Has he gone up the ground? He has. Now the ball comes back to Vella. Vella puts them into attack, and all on his own in there is Thomas Banuelos. And Banuelos can line up from about 35 out.
It's always a pretty hot contest when these two sides play. They're very evenly matched. They know they need to beat each other, essentially, to have a chance of making the finals. Both come into this game with the same number of wins. They play 4 times this season, so they'll be pretty well acquainted. This is the 3rd match. Canberra have won 3 in a row. They met in that final last year. I think that adds a bit of tension when these two sides play.
And Banuelos on a very acute angle. Has he put it just across the face, or has it just curved back to the right? I think it started off to the left and curved back to the right, and he puts it through for a major and puts his side back in front with his first goal of the day. Thomas Banuelos, their first of the second quarter, and it's now Sydney Uni 7-3-45. The Canberra Demons 6-4-40, 12 gone, second quarter.
I think he likes this ground, Tom Banuelos. He kicked 2 last time they played here, which was only a few weeks ago back in round 9. Sydney Uni going down by 24 points, I think, that day. But Tom Banuelos again bobbing up and kicking a goal and giving the students a 5-point lead as we go beyond 12 minutes in the second quarter.
It was the only win that Canberra have ever had at this ground, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Their first win at this ground, which only became their permanent home ground in the middle of last season. So they've had a couple of games away from here as well during the course of the year, but they'll be looking to go 2 in a row on this turf and 4 in a row against the students. But the Sydney side get the ball out of the centre. It falls for Smout. Smout then puts into the path of Hardy. Hardy runs back to where Smout was standing, then turns around to his left, wheels around, puts it onto the right foot. A couple of Canberra players could get it in there. Was that Corbett who got it and then lost it and then got it again? It was. Now into the path of Moline. Now the ball going free, coming back into the square. And a mark is taken in defence by Darcy Cordell for Sydney Uni. So he shuts them down, but only goes short. Dangerous play. Goulden can't take the mark. There's plenty of Canberra players around the fall of the ball. It comes back to Hardy. Hardy turns around, puts a little hand pass in. Plenty of players here. Now it bounces back again. Comes for Osborne. Osborne, an ill-directed kick. And has it gone out on the full? It has. It sailed over the line. Oh, wasteful stuff from Canberra. Just a moment or two of reflection in there, and I reckon they could have had a much better outcome.
Missed opportunity there for Jared Osborne, but he's been good today. 13 disposals so far. The only player with more than that is Alex Smout, who's having another day out with 15 touches. Sydney Uni have worked the ball towards the wing. It's marked there by Harry Morrison, who also kicked a bag of goals last time the students played at this venue. The ball now in the middle. That's a terrible kick. It should be turned over. I think it might have been Richardson. But the Demons have turned it over as well. So the students often running again towards half forward. Crockmall's tackled. Crockmall's dispossessed. Umpire calls play on. Lupton threw himself in there. Lupton and Clark laying a big tackle together. And we'll get a ball up on the attacking edge of the centre square. A bit more push and shove. Tom Fall involved as well. The umpire will come in and throw the ball up as the students look to get back into attack. Maynard with a decisive hit out into space for Smout to run onto. Managed to get some sort of a hand pass away. Osborne got a touch in as well. It comes back to Osborne again. He just kicks it out of the area. Into space for Pollock and Fall perhaps to run onto. Pollock takes it. He's tackled. Dispossessed. Ball on the ground. Pollock and Fall still fighting for it. Fall comes out with the footy. Gives it to Richardson. Now Hardy again. They've got numbers in the forward line if they can get it there. The kick is towards Corbett, but the kick will turn and go out of play. And perhaps another missed opportunity there for the Demons.
Tell you what, good umpiring this afternoon, Eddie. They're showing plenty of common sense, letting play go on when the ball's in dispute, with plenty of players over the top of it, giving it a chance to come out. Not being too hot on the free kicks either. It's been good umpiring so far this afternoon, and a 5-point ball game as the ball comes back into play. Plenty of grabbing going on in the ruck contest. Umpires let it go on. Taken out of the air by Aino, but he can't do much with it. I think it might have been Vella who got away with the kick now. Canberra, well, they've got plenty of players in there as we see. However, I'm not sure who's got the free. It's a Sydney free. It'll go to Davies. No, it's actually going to come back, and it'll be Cameron Williams who has the free. So he bombs it long in towards the goal square. No one able to take it. It comes off hands, comes back now via Foster. Foster can't do anything with it. And the Demons, well, they can breathe again for just a moment as it comes out towards Harper. It's punched away from him by Bartholomew's over the boundary line. And a momentary reprieve for the home side as we wait for it to come back in just in front of the cricket centre. Woden end of the ground here. Spina comes back on. It's Maynard who gets the best of the ruck contest, but still plenty of players in over the top. It comes free towards Harper. He bends down to pick it up. As he bends down to pick it up, he is set upon again. And it'll be another toss in the air, just inside the 50-metre arc at the attacking end of the ground for the Sydney Uni side. And again, Maynard gets it, but charging into it is Morrison. Morrison can't get a handle on it. Comes free towards now Osborne for the Canberra Demons. His kick, unable to be marked. Chasing in underneath it was Corbett for the home side. Not sure who wound up with it, but we've got there's almost a hold in the ball call in there, isn't there? Robertson has it. Now there's push and shove, and maybe a little bit more than a push and shove going on in the bottom there. Not entirely sure.
Now, the umpire had started to squat. He was in the motion of holding the ball when the ball came out, and then he called play on, and then it went back in, and he called it a ball up.
So it's a ball up, and chasing it around is Bartholomew's for the students. Can't do anything with it. Kel Evans runs into the pack with it. He's bundled to the ground by Vella. Ball comes free. Umpire says he's going to have another crack at it, and just try and break things up a wee bit here. Centre wing position, grandstand side of Football Park in Phillip.
I've got to say, Chris, I don't envy umpires, particularly when they're on the crowd side of the ground. It can be a tough job in any sport when you've got the crowd saying, come on, pay the free our way, and you've got to make what you think is the right decision as we get another
You're not
stoppage.
suggesting the crowd could sway an umpire,
No,
are you,
they couldn't, Chris. I just think it would be unpleasant. And I've been at some local rugby league games recently, and I would not want to be a touch judge on the broadcast grandstand side of the ground. I can tell you that much. Tagliabue won the hit out, but Osborne's going to get another clearance. Swan fell over as the ball was coming to him. Big bump there between Maynard and Veal. Veal got the hand pass back to Sierakowski. Sierakowski's kick was a little bit speculative. It'll come off. It's Stevenson with the footy. Bit hesitant, gets the kick away. It's towards Davies. Davies up against Spina. Spina with a good spoil. Anyone's ball. Comes down the student's way. Snap on goal there by Stern. Ends up in the hands of Nick Foster, who plays in, runs in, kicks the goal.
He's scored 3 and he's set up a couple now, has Stern. He's having a good day.
And so it was Nick Foster with the goal. He gets his second.
Stern with the goal assist. Foster has 2. And we're back out to the 11-point margin that we had at quarter time here. 51 plays 40.
What a high-scoring game of footy. Both sides, and things can change as games go on, but both sides at this stage on track to score, nearly 100 points or more. So an entertaining, pretty free-flowing game of footy. As we've said, plenty of spice in this. A bit of push and shove, nothing outrageous, but a good contest at Phillip Oval this afternoon.
Oh, that's for sure. We've seen It's been that real stretch, hasn't it? We see Canberra got the first point, then Sydney got a few goals, and then Canberra pulled it back and Sydney stretched away. Canberra levelled it up earlier in this quarter. Now Sydney stretching away again as the ball goes down in the middle of the park, courtesy of Tagliabue. He chases it, almost Justin Madden style, manages to get some sort of a soccer kick away into the path of a teammate. I think it might have been Crockmell who had it, puts the ball into the forward line. It comes off hands. Oh, this will be a great goal. Harry Morrison. Oh, salute and put that one on your highlight reel, Harry Morrison, and the teammates come over and let him know of their appreciation as well. They've done that in about 19 seconds, I reckon, from the centre circle to goal.
So 3 in a row for Sydney Uni. They're back out now by 17 points. And look, we've spoken before about the Canberra Demons and their tendency last season to fade in second halves, particularly in final quarters. That hasn't been the case so much this season. Their second halves have been pretty strong. Even last week when they were beaten by 80 points, they were pretty much down by 80 at half-time and actually managed to more or less split the second half. So the Demons, if they can stay in touch, will back themselves to try and fight on in the second half, but they wouldn't want to be much more than 17 points down at half-time.
Well, we've still got plenty of time left. Bear in mind we saw 10 goals in the first quarter, and what have we seen? 3, 4, 5 so far in this quarter. So still plenty of time for the Canberra side, but the ball goes into the path of Bartholomew's, but it's picked up off the turf by Maynard, who'd followed up through the scrimmage. Ball goes to ground eventually. It was Reinhardt who couldn't quite take the mark. He follows it, gets it now, goes right foot, looking for Vella upfield, but instead it's been marked there for Canberra, and I reckon it might be Richardson comes infield, looking for Osborne. Osborne, however, sees the ball plucked out of the air in front of him by Stewart, and it'll be the Sydney Uni side to rebound now. Stewart goes for the short ball, finds Veal. Veal then goes into the middle of the ground where it's been picked up by, was it Bartholomew's? I think it was. He looks for Davies, but it's overcooked it, and Davies sees it over the boundary line, as does Spina. Throw in to take place. I think it's the third throw-in or fourth throw-in this quarter we've seen from within about a 10-metre stretch of the boundary, right in front of that post in the southwestern corner of the ground. Ball comes back into play. Waiting for it was Tagliabue. He got the tap, but only as far as Harper for Canberra, onto a teammate, and then it comes down to Carr. Carr runs into trouble, puts the ball to ground, and will be pinged for that one because he didn't really manage to get anything remotely resembling a hand pass on it. And it's a free kick to be taken by Carroll for the Sydney Uni side from right next to the centre circle. They're 2 kicks from goal. Might be 3 if they go the long way around. Ball goes over everybody and is in the end picked up by the Canberra Demons, but it only goes as far as Cole, the expat Tasmanian. He finds Morrison, who had a goal a moment ago. Vella tries to steal it again out of the bottom of the pack. Gee, he's everywhere this afternoon, is Luke Vella, but the umpire says, I'm not going to let you get it free this time. It will be a ball up, 40 out from the Sydney Uni goal.
So what can Sydney Uni create from this stoppage? The ball's thrown up. Tagliabue was up against Maynard. It comes down to Stevenson. He's tackled by Lupton, the second gamer for Canberra, and we'll get another ball up inside 50. Liam Lupton kicking a goal on debut last week. The ball's thrown up again. Tagliabue knocks it forward, comes down there to Will Sirakowski. The ball's in dispute near the boundary line and ends up over the boundary line, and we'll get another throw in front of that cricket centre in the right forward pocket for Sydney Uni, who are sitting fairly comfortably at this stage with a 17-point lead, 9-3-57, and plays 6-4-40 as the ball comes back into play. Tagliabue starts in front of Maynard, but Maynard got in front and just booted it forward. In the end, Tagliabue took the ball, but his disposal was in turn turned over to Harper. Harper's kick ends up in the path of Sirakowski, but the Demons should be able to work it forward here. It came off the hands of Swan. He tried to put it into the path of Sam Martin. Martin had Moline there in support. In the end, they had to turn the tackler. Vella was there too. We'll get a ball up. Defensive side of the wing here from Canberra in front of all that brand new signage at Phillip Oval.
Yeah, beautiful brand new signage, beautiful trees over the far side. I think are they snow gums on the far side that have lost their leaves in the winter? You have no idea, do you, Eddie?
I know some gardening experts, Chris. I'll check with them next time I see them.
I believe you're seeing them tomorrow?
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday, okay. But the ball is now currently down in the Canberra Demons forward line where there isn't a lot going on with it because it's being pushed over the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in to take place, so Canberra a chance to close this gap up a little bit. It's got out to 17. I think the biggest gap for the game has been 23, so not the largest margin of the game as yet. And as we learned from the AFL last night, Eddie, even a 19-point gap late in the game can be overcome. Just ask Hawthorn and Collingwood. Ball comes back in. Tagliabue gets to the front position, but it's a tap down one by the Canberra side. Goes as far as Hiscox for Sydney Uni. He tries to break through. A few of the hometown fans calling for ball there. Would have been a great place for the Canberra Demons to get a call of that advantage, but didn't go their way. Ball now comes out of the bottom of the pack, and Owen Orban, I think, was the man who was trying to get it away. It may have been back-heeled it at part of the process there, and it rolls away over the boundary line, 30 around from the Canberra goal.
Just been watching Reece Pollock on the bench, and he's just been having a chat with a couple of the trainers, a couple of the Canberra Demons staff. So we'll just keep an eye on Reece Pollock on the interchange at the moment as to whether he receives any treatment and whether he's back on the field anytime soon. No obvious issue with him as the ball comes back into play. It was knocked down by Tagliabue into the path of Hardy, who gave it to Carr. Carr snaps towards goal. It was touched just on the goal line. And so the Demons now within 16 points. Looks like Veal will do the kicking in here for Sydney Uni. A little bit hesitant. In the end, just goes short into the pocket and spots Darcy Cordell. Couldn't take the mark under pressure from Owen Orban. Now a bit of a contest. Well done by Owen Orban. Came out to Stewart. He was tackled by Fall, and the ball is over the boundary line. So the Demons doing well to create a stoppage and keep the ball inside their attacking area as they try and eat into this 16-point margin. The ball will be thrown back in with Riley Corbett doing the ruck this time up against Sam Tagliabue, another recruit from the Riverina, Riley Corbett from Ganmain Grong Matong, as the ball is kicked out of defence by Sydney Uni towards Davies up against a pack of Demons, manages to get it off to Foster. He got the hand pass out, and now Sydney Uni get the ball working along the wing, and it'll be thrown in. Crowd wanted deliberate. There was nothing doing. We get a boundary throw in just forward of the wing for the students.
Yeah, Riley Corbett kicked, I think it was 70 goals in 14 matches for the Lions in the RFL last year. So certainly a long-term forward prospect for this Canberra Demons side. That's providing he doesn't come to the attention of higher honours down the track. Ball now coming out through Moline. Speaking of Riverina products, he gives it over to Richardson. Richardson puts them deep into attack, but it's only gone as far as Reinhardt in defence. He goes across the field. So they switch the field, the focus now over to Andrew Sirakowski. He goes to his right, then to his left, and goes around the outside. Hiscox runs onto it on the bounce, picks it up on the half volley, sends it up around the far side now. It's a different looking ground now that there's a few more advertising signs over on that far side of the ground too. Ball back into the middle of the park, and waiting for it there was Banwelos. I think it had been touched on the way through, so they have to play on. Short pass goes to Bartholomew's. Bartholomew's has on his outside Stewart, but he's gone to ground, so he's actually been legged in there, and he'll get the free kick. Puts it in, just a short pass into the path of Davies. And Davies, he's popped his hair back up into the man bun, so he's taken advantage of the ball being down the other end of the park for a moment or two to get himself set cosmetically, and now in football terms as well. Hasn't got a goal so far today, but he might fancy his chances here. Saw him kicking a few from here in the warm-up earlier today, Eddie, and he didn't seem to have too much trouble from directly in front.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks without a goal for Tristan Davies. Goalless so far this afternoon. Kept goalless against the Giants last week, but 26 goals in 10 games before that, so he certainly knows how to find the big sticks.
Shouldn't be a problem for him. We'll kick from 45, almost directly in front, and it goes through about halfway up the post, and it goes through between the large sticks, and it's a major, his first for this afternoon, and it's another for the Sydney University students, and it's their fourth goal of this quarter. They move on to 10-3-63. It's been four straight since quarter time. Canberra 6-5-41, having added just 3 points to their quarter time score. So the Demons, well, they really do need the next goal now.
Yeah, a bit of a worry now for the Canberra Demons, but Tristan Davies, formerly of Williamstown in the VFL, adds a lot of class to the Sydney Uni forward line, and he kicks his first goal. Kicked one, just one, when they played here a few weeks ago. He'll be looking to add to his account as this game goes on, and just keeping an eye still on Reece Pollock, still on the bench and in conversation with a couple of the Canberra Demons trainers.
It's a fairly serious looking conversation too, so not necessarily a good thing. By the way, did we mention Lachlan Kilpatrick? He came off injured in the first quarter. We've received word it's a knee injury of some sort, and he is unlikely to take any part in this game. We can add to that we spotted him on crutches a few moments ago. So
a lot of ice on his right knee.
Yeah, so we'll be unlikely to see him come back as Bartholomew puts a hand pass in short, and it winds up coming off hands to Bailey Stewart. Stewart then comes back to Bartholomew. Now around to Goulden, and Goulden turns onto his left foot, puts it into the path. I think it might have been Stern who was the target, but instead it's the Demons who've got it now. Chasing around, far side of the park is Adamson. Adamson brings the ball back in. Canberra looking to try and get some numbers up the field at the moment. Smout is a potential target, but it goes just over his head. And is it Martin who's got it, or is it... Not sure who's got it for them, but they come in further forward, and it now winds up with Evans. And Evans just inside the 50-metre arc when he takes the mark. He'll kick from just outside 50, look to offload, but I think he's going to go for the shot instead. And it's touch and go as to whether this one gets through or is touched. And we'll just wait and see. The umpire gives it both barrels. And Evans gets in the scorebook for this afternoon in Canberra. A much-needed goal. They go to 7-5-47. The Sydney Uni side 10-3-63. 29 gone second quarter, and a good play from Kel Evans.
He's a good player, Chris, originally from the South Coast, former Queanbeyan Tiger, best and fairest winner in the local AFL Canberra Division 1, and Kel Evans, who thankfully for the commentators cut his hair earlier in the season as to avoid looking almost identical to Mitch Hardy. He's got one goal so far this afternoon.
I was also sure it wasn't Hardy because Hardy was actually on the bench in front of us at the time, so that does help too, but they're very, very similar. I think Evans changed his boots as well, just quietly. But it's now a 16-point margin here. Canberra get the next one. There's still time. There's probably still time for 2 more goals.
And that was an important one late in the
direct.
quarter at the 29-minute mark, just to make sure that the lead is not too out of control as we head into the second half.
So what's that been for Canberra? That is 3 goals this quarter. I think I miscalculated before. 3 goals this quarter for Canberra and 4 goals this quarter for Sydney Uni, as it's going to Canberra's advantage there once again through Richardson. Now they look back on the inside. Plenty of players who can wind up with it. And just waiting to see who's at full forward for them. Oh, trying to go for the one-hander in there was Swan. It comes down into the path of Hardy. Swan gets it back on a hot hand pass. He then returns the favour to Hardy, and now it's in the bottom of the pack trying to come through his Smout. So the big guns for Canberra all come into play in the shadows of half-time, but it'll be a ball up, 35 out from their goal. A couple of minutes till the break.
Pretty eager for another late goal here, the Demons. Swan up in ruck again against Tagliabue. Very crowded forward line here for Canberra. Swan trying to get forward of the pack. He gets the ball, Andrew Swan. He gives it to Osborne, who goes with the volley. It won't get towards the goals. Corbett was there. He couldn't keep the footy. Sydney Uni work it out. But here's Matt Vardaniger, who's been impressive today. Couldn't take the mark. That allowed his opponent in, Harry Morrison, to run on, take the footy. Oh, great effort by Spina.
Legged.
But he legged him.
Slipped down in the tackle, got him initially around the waist, but you see it happen time and time again when you tackle the fast man and you don't get the good grip and it slips down and you just ankle tap him on the way to the ground.
I don't know about you, Chris. I just get the impression the crowd didn't agree with that one. But Harry Morrison with the free. Kicks it towards half forward. Oh, big fly by the big man, Maynard. Couldn't bring it down. Vardaniger has the ball. He was taken high. And Matt Vardaniger will get a free kick off half back for the Canberra Demons. We have now gone more than 31 minutes in this second quarter. Bit of feeling in this one. Vardaniger with a high kick to the wing. Tagliabue in good position. Tagliabue takes the mark.
I tell you, Eddie, you mentioned about the unpaid, unofficial umpires on the western side of this ground, and I don't know why Canberra don't play more around this side of the ground where they do get just that little bit more vocal support. If nothing else, it'll give them a bit of a lift, but right now it's the students with the ball through Foster. Foster couldn't control it. It comes away to Bartholomew. He goes more with an up and under, more in hope than anything else, into the path of Stern, who got 3 goals in the first quarter. He set one up as well for Foster earlier, and now he gets the free kick, but if he can kick this one, well, this will be about the hardest one for him for the course of the day. Looked over on his inside, had a couple of players over to the left, but decides now to go back and take the shot himself. He'll be on a horrendously acute angle. Could go for the check side and try and turn it through, or will he go old school and go straight in? Looks like he's going old school, and now he puts it on the outside of the boot and it turns around and turns a little bit early, and as a result is just a point. The first minor score for Sydney this quarter, 10-4-64 they'll be. Canberra 7-5-47, 17-point game here at Footy Park in Phillip.
Can't be long to go in this second quarter. That's Josh Stern's first behind of the match. He's already kicked 3 goals in this first half. There is the halftime siren. We've got a good game of footy on our hands, a high-scoring one. At the main break, it's Sydney Uni 10-3-63, leading the Canberra Demons 7-5-47.
little over a minute till play resumes here at Football Park in Phillip in this NEAFL clash between the Canberra Demons and Sydney Uni, with the Demons 7-5-47 trailing the Students 10-64. In other NEAFL games this afternoon, the Gold Coast Suns have had a fairly comfortable win over Redland, who are here next week, I think. The Gold Coast Suns 12-15-87, Redland 6-10-46. And in the other game, which is just underway up on the Gold Coast, Southport are trailing Aspley, but that's only 2 minutes in, and it is just one goal on the board there. But here it is a 17-point game. The margin got as wide as 23 points on, I think, a couple of occasions. But at the moment, it's the visiting side 10-4-64. The Canberra side, well, they just need to find a way to string a couple together and to stop the Sydney Uni press, which keeps on rolling through, Eddie Williams.
Yeah, they've had a lot more. Well, they've had more of the ball, the Canberra Demons, 194 disposals to 171. They've had more tackles, 45 to 42. They're losing the free kick count, 5-11. The crowd hasn't been too happy about that, but they're winning the hitouts, they're winning the clearances, they're ahead on the inside 50s, but they're not ahead on the scoreboard. They need a lift out of a couple of their midfielders, perhaps Cal Evans. Watch him in this second half to see if he can get his hands on the ball a bit more. Jared Osborne and Alex Smout have been very busy for the Canberra side, and Lewis Stevenson, the leading disposal winner for Sydney University. As we're underway in the middle of the ground, the Demons going to the right of your screen to the Woden end in this third quarter, while Sydney University will kick to the left of screen to the northern end. We're going to get a secondary ball up, just slightly forward for the Sydney University side and just slightly towards our broadcast side of the ground. Maynard won that one down against Tagliabue, but it went straight to Vella, who kicks Sydney Uni towards half forward. Davies flew, couldn't hold the mark, brought it to ground. It comes back to Vella. Vella with a high kick. Harry Morrison is getting underneath it, and Harry Morrison takes a strong mark.
How many possessions has Vella had this afternoon? He'd have to be right up there, wouldn't he?
Probably would have been disposal number 13 just there.
Okay, no, that's Veal who's got 13. Vella's further down the list. He's only got officially 7. I thought he would have had many more than that this afternoon, but instrumental in setting this one up, getting two disposals in a matter of moments. And now, well, look at this. He's going to come in off the long run for the shot, is Morrison.
Harry Morrison, he kicked 2 at this ground 5 rounds ago in a loss for the Students. Looking for goal number 2 this afternoon. Harry Morrison off the right. Didn't quite have the distance in the end, perhaps. The ball comes back into play. It's play on. A lot of players in that defensive goal square. It comes Sydney Uni's way. It'll come to Stevenson. His right foot kick just round the corner. Ends up with Davies. Throws it on the boot. That's away to the left. That will float through for a behind. Might have scored a Tristan Davies. The margin now out to an even 4 goals.
Looking for a goal umpire in green, and they've fooled us by having their almost camouflage black tops on down there. So Canberra bring the ball back in, going around the far side of the ground. Option to go short to Osborne infield is ignored. Instead, it's a longer ball. It'll be to a contest. Underneath it is Hardy. Goes over his head. That's actually a good grab taken in the middle of the pack there. Now, who was it who stuck his arms up for the grab?
And I did say it was an even 4 goals. It's an even 3 goals, in fact.
It was Vardaniga who wound up with the mark, but he's turned it over down at the other end of the ground, and Sydney will come away with it. They've got plenty of numbers. Waiting for it at centre-half back was Stevenson. He's been busy early in this third term. Looks around, sees Vella coming on the grandstand side, but instead decides to go back over the far side of the ground. Waiting for it and waiting patiently is Stewart, and he gets not just the chance to take the mark, but to go for a short jog. He does so, and he's got a man in the clear there in Stern. Stern, who's got 3 goals so far today, kicked one from about this point earlier in proceedings, decides this time, however, to find Davies, and Davies will... well, he might take a shot, but I think from that angle he may be better to look for a man in better position, and that man was Cole. Ball went in short, and now the Demons able to rebound, and it comes to, in the middle of a pack, Hardy, brave, but takes the mark. He's got on his own on the top of the arc is Richardson. Instead decides to continue down the far side of the ground. Goes for the big man in Swan. Swan can't take the grab. It comes off hands. Stevenson picks it up off the turf. Swan goes in for the tackle. Ball comes free. Now diving in over the top of it, one of the Canberra Demons players in there, still fairly hot potato as the ball goes out of my view beyond a post for a second. Coming up underneath it there, I think it was Carr trying to get the mark. It was, couldn't control it, and it comes away then through Veal for the Sydney Uni side. They're bringing it back around on the far side of the ground once again. So it's back and forth stuff at the moment. Waiting for it in the middle of the park is Cole. No one within 10 metres of him. Pops the hand pass around. And then tackled in the middle of the park was Morrison. Morrison gets the hand pass away behind him, and it's a relay forward very quickly onto the chest of Tristan Davies. He's only got one today, but you'd back him for his second for the day here, Eddie.
And he's becoming a real problem for Canberra in defence. This is Tristan Davies' fifth mark, trying to kick goal number 2.
As we've mentioned, he's capable of kicking a bag. He's had a quiet couple of weeks. He's got 28 goals for the season. And just one of those today. No breeze, kicking almost straight into the sun. It's just across to the right, I think it is, and he's missed for a minor score. So, well, you give the guy a rap, and that happens. So it's back to 19 points the margin, 10-6-66. The Sydney Uni side, Canberra 7-5-47, and they again work it around the outside of the ground. Now Tom Fall goes for a bounce. We've seen him do this a couple of times so far this season. This time though, puts it into the forward line where Swan is waiting. It bounces in front of him. He waits for it to sit up for him. He sits it up and then dribbles it into the goal, and it doesn't take the course correction, and it goes through for a point. I know it's the fashionable thing, Eddie, but I've said it before. Sometimes you've just got to bang it through instead of trying to run it through on the ground.
So Sydney Uni let off the hook there, and Veal has the footy in defence for them. He looks to switch play to Reinhardt, who'll mark uncontested. He's got Stevenson on short. Another disposal for Stevenson, getting plenty of it so far this afternoon. A little bit uncertain as to where this next kick will go. It's looked like he's going to go inboard slightly, or in the end it's more or less down the line, and Klemke could have held the mark. Couldn't, unfortunately. Vella was there as well. Klemke went in again. Vella is on top of the pack. Ball does manage to get out to Adamson briefly. It's locked back up. It was Jared Osborne who had the ball, and will get a ball up forward of the wing for Sydney University. Tagliabue up against Maynard. Both got hands on it. Came down to Stewart, who got some sort of a kick forwards. Ends up with Vella. He was dispossessed. Osborne going in hard again. We'll have to have another ball up. So a couple of stoppages in a row as the students lock the ball inside their forward half. Not able to get it inside 50 for the past few moments, though. Tagliabue knocked it down with 2 hands, but Smout will get the clearance. Stood up strongly there, Alex Smout. Kicks it to the wing. Kick didn't really favour Tom Fall at all. And it's Luke Robertson who takes the relieving mark.
Goes with the right foot back in towards the centre circle, and there, running through once again, is Vella. Ran through, got right to the fall of the ball. Decides not to muck around, goes in towards centre half forward, flying there for Canberra. It might have been Billy Clark who was up there. Ball has come free, and it's the Demons who'll rebound, but it only goes as far as Will Sierakowski. Runs around to his right, now puts it onto the right foot, back into the forward line. Just a punch through in defence, which is good for Canberra. It goes to Smout. Smout, however, disposes with it over his head, and Canberra dicing with death there. Ball wound up with Lewis Stevenson, and I would almost swear blind there that a Canberra player called for it, because he hand passed it straight to a Canberra player who then put it to another player and went it through for a point. 10-7-67, so that makes it a 19-point game again. I'm still trying to work out exactly what went on in the teeth of goal. Doesn't matter. Ball coming out now for Canberra with Osborne. He's got a man in short there in Adamson. Decides to actually go a little bit wider to the other man in short, who is Hardy. Hardy right in front of our camera position here. Western side of the ground. Takes his time to allow a few more players to flood up the ground. Could go to Connor Owen Orban. No, he couldn't, because he goes off the ground. And now they decide to go backwards. I'm not sure what that's a sign of, but not necessarily good. Vardaniga has it. Goes across the ground. Getting in underneath it, this young man, Billy Clark, the Marist graduate. Just gets legged as he goes to put the ball away, and it's once again with Vella. Vella through hands, and it goes on to Davies. Davies puts it into the path of Hiscox. If Hiscox can get it, it'll be a certain goal, but he doesn't get there. Instead, it comes out to a couple of Canberra players. Smout has it. He called for a good communication. Then pops a little short ball onto Richardson. Richardson finds Lupton, and Lupton then goes to Martin. Martin looks left, sees Carr. He spies Fall up ahead of him in the ground. Fall's been held, and the umpire, I think, has agreed with that decision. Yes, he has. And Tom Fall, we don't get to see him take too many set shots, and he'll get one here, Eddie Williams.
Yes, and it should be a relatively straightforward set shot, Chris. And that was great fast play there by the Demons. Good communication between Smout and Richardson. Smout took the mark. Richardson ran on and received the hand pass, and good fast play to get the ball into Tom Fall and create this free kick.
All the way from there, they had a man free. And Fall has come in from about 20 out, and he's managed to get his first goal for the day, the Demons' first goal of the second half, and indeed the first goal of the game for the second half, and we are back to almost a two-goal game. It is Canberra 8-6-54, trailing Sydney Uni 10-7-67, and believe it or not, after the number of goals we got in the first half, it's taken us nearly 9 minutes to get our first in the third quarter.
And Alex Smout has been everywhere again in this third quarter. He was held pretty quiet last week by Aspley. That was one of the reasons Aspley were able to get on top so easily in the first half, is that they took Alex Smout and Mitch Maguire out of that game. Alex Smout, again, getting in the contest today. 24 disposals so far this afternoon. 3 inside 50s, 7 clearances, 4 tackles, 3 marks. He's having a day out.
He is indeed. And, well, Canberra get the next one. We're back to single-figure margin. Let's see which way it goes as the ball goes down in the middle. Paik doing the ruck work for Canberra. Maybe just gets the best of it, but it lands with Stewart for the Students. He puts them back into attack. Waiting underneath is the man with the sleeves in Foster. Turns around, sends them back into attack. Big punch comes as it's a Morrison who tries to get it. Can't do anything with it. Also waiting for it was Stern, but the Canberra side, they rebound. And again, Alex Smout, possession number 25. Oh, they're on the rebound here, this Canberra side now. Quick hand pass goes on to Harper. He's got space in front of him, and he puts the ball into that space now. Waiting down in the forward line was Carr. Couldn't quite get it. Still chasing it. Ball up near the boundary line. Kicked forward by Sydney. They're keeping it in play at the moment. A Uni. Tom Fall comes in for the tackle. Maybe a little bit late, and the ball is still with the Sydney Uni side now. Goulden slows things down just a little. Goes around the far side of the ground. Keeps it on the boundary line, and the ball comes off hands and will go in for a throw-in. And this might be the first throw-in we've seen on centre wing on the far side of the ground today, which is somewhat unusual here at Phillip.
They put all that signage there. And they haven't even bothered having any boundary throw-ins. We get one here, pretty much right on centre wing in front of that football park sign, flanked by the Canberra Demons and the Woden Blues logo, with Woden hosting some home games after this NEAFL match in the local AFL Canberra competition. Sydney Uni will get the clearance here. The kick is into space for Stern, just bounced away from him, ends up with Billy Clark. He goes with a hand pass back into traffic, and Sydney Uni will be able to rip the ball free and nudge it forward. It'll come to Hiscox. He might eye the goals, he doesn't. He spots up Nick Foster all on his own, 30 out directly in front.
Short 15 metres, but just enough. He'll get the set shot here. What a fascinating game this is turning into, Eddie.
So a couple of goals already today for Nick Foster. And what should be a relatively straightforward shot as he looks for goal number 3. The only player on the ground today wearing the long sleeves. It was cooler earlier on, but with the sun now out, it's a pretty nice place to be. Football Park in Phillip this afternoon as Nick Foster trots in. He goes off the right. He starts it out to the right, and he misses. So the Students letting Canberra off the hook a little bit in this third quarter. And their lead now is 14.
I'll move on to 10-8-68. Canberra will be 8-6-54 as the Demons bring the ball back into play. Yeah, Eddie, almost decidedly tepid here this afternoon. It's all of 14 degrees in the nation's capital as the ball goes out over the line, and it's been called as it gone out from the kick-in. So the Demons get to bring it further around, gone out off on the full after the kick in, and now Canberra working it through Carr, then onto Osborne. Osborne sending it up forward, looking for Lupton. Lupton can't control it, but it can be controlled by Richardson. He gives it back to Lupton. Lupton decides to just pin his ears back and have a shot, and it bounces, and then bounces the wrong way through for a point, but it'll still be down the scoring end for the Canberra side, but they're going point for point, and it'll be back to a 13-point margin, 8-7-55 to 10-8-68. As Sydney bring it back into the direction of Bailey Stewart. It gets past him, and it'll be all Canberra here. That's Hardy. Hardy turns around onto his onto his left foot rather, puts it into the path there of, is it Harper in the far corner? It is. He's on a very, very nasty angle, but he's going to back his chances here.
I've liked Jordan Harper's game this afternoon. He's been throwing himself in, and he's been a factor around the contests for Canberra with 17 disposals, a couple of tackles as well.
Well, how's he go here this afternoon?
7 clearances, 2 and 4 inside 50s, and 3 rebound 50s for Jordan Harper, so he's been important.
Comes in with the right foot and just across the face. I'm not even sure if it's gone through for a score. It has. It's just gone through for a minor score, and it'll be 2 straight kicks the difference now. Canberra will go to 8-8-56. Sydney Uni 10-8-68. And Sydney Uni, well, they need to do a little bit better to clear it out this time, as Goulden has it in the square.
Both the ruckmen, Maynard and Tagliabue, have been trying to get onto the ground for the past couple of minutes, but the play has been away from the interchange benches and they haven't been able to get on. They're both standing there waiting, hands on hips, the two of them, as the students work the ball to their defensive 50. Ned Reinhard took that mark. Just a slower approach here from the students as they kick to the wing. They've got a couple of players out there and they should be able to work things forward now. The hand pass there from Cole. Now the kick comes towards half forward. Pake couldn't get there. A good tackle by Cade Klemke. No prior opportunity, says the umpire. And we'll get a ball up at centre half forward for Sydney University, who are yet to kick a goal in this quarter, but they have kicked 4 behinds. So an inaccurate quarter so far by Sydney Uni. It's socket inside 50. It'll come to Foster. He was met. Knocked the ball out. It was knocked back in turn by Osborne. A clever piece of play there by Osborne to knock it to Vardaniga. His kick bounces through to Owen Osborne. Vardaniga followed up well. Receives the hand pass. Kicks it to Carr. A strong mark there by Harry Carr. And well appreciated by the home crowd. The kick, maybe not so appreciated. Lupton's there, so's Richardson. Richardson did well to give it to Fall, who gets it to Hardy, who can create a bit of space. He sees a man on his own. Couldn't get it to him quite as accurately as he would have liked. It might be Sam Martin who fires towards goal.
Oh!
And he puts it through.
Well, Martin went from almost hero to zero and back to hero in next to no time there. Overran it, got around, turns, shoots from 50. Nice snap, nice goal.
Pretty nonchalant there from Sam Martin. No fuss, no frills. Just grabbed the footy and kicked a goal.
Yeah, I'll just bang it through from 50. I'll do that every day of the week.
And suddenly, the Demons are within 6 points. And it's the goal kicking in this quarter where Canberra has kicked those couple of goals and Sydney Uni's only been able to kick 4 behinds. So 2-3 for the Demons in this quarter. 4 behinds for Sydney University, and the margin is 1 straight kick.
You don't reckon anyone from the Demons was listening to our very short preview before the game where we thought it might be a bridge too far for them today? We'll be right to get out of the ground after full time, Ed?
I think we'll be okay, Chris.
Okay.
But look, as we said, it'd be an enormous effort for Canberra to win today without Powell, without Maguire, without Bruce, without Highmore, without a number of other players who are on the list. Ben Helps as well. Angus Baker, who's been probably their best player all season, is missing too. So a tough ask for the Demons, but they've given a good account of themselves so far. There's Lucas Moline giving a good account of himself.
Here comes a push and shove.
Nick Ano and Nick Foster, the two Nicks. There's a free kick paid. Which way will it go? It's going to Nick Ano.
Oh, and don't the 75,000 umpires on this side of the ground love that call, Eddie?
So Nick Ano came to the Canberra Demons this season and does some work with AFL Canberra, was running the indoor AFL Nines competition over winter. His kick went to half forward, but it comes now to Ned Reinhard for Sydney Uni, who kicks it into the corridor for Monty Crockmull. He takes the mark, and players are streaming forward now into the students' forward line. He waits for an option, Monty Crockmull, just pokes it short. So again, a slower and steady approach by Sydney Uni as Maynard, the ruckman, comes on now for Canberra. Veal has the ball. Still too far out to score for the students. He goes into the pocket for Tristan Davies, and there's another mark for their key forward. In fact, is that Harry Morrison out there?
It is Morrison with the slightly shorter hair, puts a ball in towards full forward, bounces off a couple of hands from Canberra. Getting in the way was Carr back in defence. You don't see a lot of him, but it was a crucial run back down the field for him.
So we'll get a boundary throw in inside 50 for Sydney Uni. We've gone more than 17 minutes and the Demons have done well to hold the students goalless so far in this quarter. An opportunity here for Sydney Uni to try and lock the ball inside 50 and create something from this stoppage. It's Tagliabue and Maynard, the two big ruckmen, back on the ground. Tagliabue judged that one better in the air, knocked it into the corridor. It came to Hiscox, who gave it to Bartholomew's, who snaps towards goal, but sitting back is the playing coach. His first game back in a few weeks. A late inclusion today, Cade Klemke, who just pokes it short for Ano, who was involved in a bit of pushing and shoving before. He goes to Osborne. Another mark, another disposal coming up for Jared Osborne. He goes by hand, and now the Demons will look to use that outer side of the ground.
What I've liked from the Demons today, they've done it a few times, and they've done a lot of it since the halftime break. They've really gone for clean possessions and trying to avoid kicking to contests. It means sometimes they've got to slow the ball up, and that's what they've had to do here. And that was Corbett, who eventually went for the short ball to Billy Clark. So a couple of the newer players for this Canberra side. But they're still well in their own half of the field at the moment. Now waiting for it is Osborne, but instead the pass goes the other way, goes way over to the far side of the ground. And that was Vardaniga who had it. And then he finds Billy Clark, and Clark finally goes for a long ball. They kick to a contest. Waiting for it underneath was Corbett, who'd run back up the ground. Ball, though, comes away for Sydney Uni, and it was Bailey Stewart who turned around. He got a teammate there. Holding the ball is the call, and the umpires on the western side of the ground are very happy again. They're starting to get a bit more vocal, the home fans here, Eddie, as the Canberra Demons are a chance to level this one up. They're 6 points down. And again, playing possession footy. Calling for it in the middle of the ground is Aino, but instead it was Maynard who got it. Maynard gave it back to Vodaniga. There was a push underneath the ball there. The umpires let play go, and I think that might be Moline who's taken it. And he's had the shot, and he's put it through post high and tied it all up. And the celebrations are on for the men in blue and yellow as they get square for the first time since early in the second quarter.
Great atmosphere here at Phillip Oval today. The crowd's involved in this game. They're keen to see Andrew Swan in his first game back for the Demons, and they're keen to see the Canberra side levelling the scores, and that's 3-0 for the Canberra Demons in this third quarter. We are locked at 10-8, 68 apiece.
Third quarter is often tagged the premiership quarter. Let's not be premature about things here because we have seen the Canberra side struggle late in games as well. But it does seem that Sydney Uni, the halftime break didn't necessarily come at a good time for them. And it just seems they've really struggled to get back up to speed again since the break. With 10-8, 68 apiece and 20 minutes on the clock, we are set for a ding-dong finish here at Phillip Oval, Football Park in Canberra in this NEAFL Round 14 clash.
Back in the middle, Maynard and Tagliabue. The bounce favoured Tagliabue. In fact, it favoured him so much the umpire will have to call it back and we'll get a restart. The umpire will throw this one up. We've got Harper, Evans and Smout all in the centre circle here for the Canberra Demons. We've got Will Sirakowski, Bailey Stewart, and we've got Vella in the middle at this stoppage for Sydney Uni. It comes down to Stewart, but Maynard was able to kick it forward. It'll bounce before it could get to Veal. Ended up with Carr. Carr's tackled, but he shrugs it off. He goes inside 50, just kicks it into the pocket. No one able to take the mark on that occasion. Golden's there for Sydney Uni. The hand pass comes out. Moline can't quite keep it in. We'll get a boundary throw in. Inside 50 for Canberra in front of a few fans on the hill there, and a healthy crowd this afternoon, and a crowd which is scattered around the oval and some sitting over in the sun in that right forward pocket near the cricket centre as the umpire gets ready to throw it back into play. Tagliabue will start behind. Looks like Corbett might be doing the ruck on this occasion for Canberra. It comes out towards Aino, knocked away from him, and the students clear it towards the wing. There's the ruckman Maynard, who's just waiting back at the wing, waiting behind the contest. It comes to Vardaniga. He's tackled. The ball spills over the boundary line, and we'll get a throw in on the broadcast wing.
While the Sydney Uni side have predominantly held the lead this afternoon, Canberra have been in front by a point for a grand total of 2 minutes and 31 seconds during the game so far today. They'll be looking to extend both of those markers in the next few minutes, but it's all locked up at the moment. Ball back into play, and it's Tagliabue who does the better of it. Gets it down once again to that man Vella. Vella sends the big high kick down towards half forward. Waiting underneath it was Foster, and the ball comes free now to Bartholomew's. Bartholomew's sends another high ball. It might bring rain. It doesn't. It lands on the chest of Lupton. Lupton's got Smout on the wing, and he's spotted him. Dangerous pass. He's misjudged it. Unlucky for Cole that he couldn't get a handle on it, but it goes once again to Vella. Vella sends his team deep into attack. The ball goes over the hands, the outstretched arms of Morrison, and goes out of play. Well, neither of these sides doing themselves any favours here, Eddie. I'm not sure whether it's going to be one side wins it or one side loses it.
Well, Cade Klemke has given a great account of himself in his first game back today in defence. Another key bit of pressure and a spoil there by Cade Klemke, seeing the ball safely out of bounds.
Ball comes back in forward territory for the Sydney Uni side. Running onto it off the ruck contest was Stevenson, but he couldn't control it. It goes back into the pack again. Vella burst his way through. He's been everywhere in the last couple of minutes. Clearing kick comes for Canberra. Who's going to get underneath it? It's 1-on-2, and it's eventually punched away towards Goulden. Goulden goes for the low ball from outside 50, puts it into the path of, I reckon that might be Davies. It is, and Davies takes the mark. Well, that's what a full forward does. Just gets himself into the front of the contest, puts both mitts on the ball and grabs hold of it. And he's a great chance to put his side back in front again. As the rubber band, well, it had stretched, it had contracted back to the minimum, and now they'll start to try and stretch it again, this Sydney University side.
That's half a dozen marks today now for Tristan Davies, the former Williamstown Seagull. 1 goal, 2 so far today. He'll be looking to just fix up that radar here.
It starts off to the right, but I don't think it's gone as far right as the previous one from him. It hasn't. It's gone straight through the middle. In fact, it's come back. And he's put his side back in front by 6 points. Sydney Uni retake the lead, 11-8-74 to the Canberra Demons, 10-8-68 in the 23 and a half minutes gone in the third quarter here. Next goal could be extraordinarily important in the context of this one. We've had two very high scoring quarters to start things off, but we've only had 5 goals in this third term, and that indeed was the first goal for Sydney in the third term, Eddie. So they've gone from feast to famine in the space of 45 minutes.
I rattled off some of those injured players for the Canberra Demons before. One we didn't mention was Riley Budd, who's arguably been their most informed defender this season. Another player missing for Canberra today, and that's meant that Jonathan Spina and Alex Paik have had to step up. And here's Alex Paik doing a bit of ruck work for Canberra. Couldn't find a teammate with the hit out, and Bailey Stewart kicks Sydney Uni inside 50 again. Big contest. Where's the ball gone? Spina's looking round for it. It's under the pack. We'll get a ball up in a dangerous position here for the students. 30 metres out directly in front from their goal as Alex Paik comes in to do the ruck work against Banuelos that time. Paik won it down to Klemke. Klemke gets a hand pass over his head. I think it might have been Harper who clears the defensive 50. The kick's out in space. Hardy's trying to get there. The boundary line beats all comers. And it'll be thrown in right in front of our commentary position here at Phillip Oval.
Yeah, Bailey Stewart averages 7 tackles a match, and he's got 6 so far today. Bartholomew's averages 6.9 tackles per match, and he's got 4 for today. They've really done a welter of work, and the other man who's been very busy for them in the defensive side of things is Vella, with another half a dozen tackles for today as well. But the Sydney side, they come away with the ball again through Veal. Veal puts the ball high into the air. Davies flies, can't get hold of it. Oh, bravery from a Canberra player. There were 3 Demons around him, 3 uni students around him rather, but Crockmall tried to burst free from the pack. He couldn't do anything with it. Umpire allowing play to go on. There he is again, that man Vella. He's got the ball tucked under his right arm, rugby league style, tries to get through. Can't find the try line, can't find a way out. The ball goes free for just a moment, and the umpire says, no, it's not free enough for mine. It'll be another ball up. This will be at centre half forward for the Sydney Uni side. 25 and a half gone in the third quarter. Ball tapped away for the students' advantage, but really it's still a fairly hot potato, picked up off the ground by, it is Moline in there. He can't control it, and he's over the boundary line. Bit more push and shove going on, and now coming in to contribute a bit to that is Hardy. Got to be careful with the push and shove. We've seen one free kick given while the ball was out of play for a bit of that stuff. Now Paik maybe just got a hand on it, kicked off the ground in Canberra, looking to go further upfield. Fall was the man who was the target. Also chasing after it was Luke Robertson, but the ball wins the race to the boundary line. It'll be thrown in. There'll be a great chance to see how this ruck contest goes right in front of us here on the NEAFL TV commentary position.
And it's a couple of the second or third string ruckmen, Alex Paik and Tom Banuelos. It comes down to Smout. Another clearance from Alex Smout. It's a good kick to Connor Owen Auburn, a late inclusion this afternoon. He kicks it for Sam Martin, who's running towards half forward. Runs onto the ball, Sam Martin. Looks to turn round onto the right boot. Goes with a short kick to Lupton. Was that 15? The umpire says it was. And Liam Lupton has taken the mark, and he'll go back. He thought about giving a hand pass off, but Liam Lupton, who kicked 1 goal on debut last week, perhaps looking to add to his account here.
What do you reckon was going through Sam Martin's mind? Because he put that goal through from 50 earlier in the quarter, and now Lupton's played on, and he's given across to
Spina.
Oh, Spina's come charging through, and he's almost bagged one from 50 on the fly. But it goes off hands and through for a rush behind instead.
A couple of metres short there with the kick, Jonathan Spina, but Lupton obviously not confident that he was able to make the distance from there either. And perhaps Sam Martin, he did the team thing there in centering the ball and giving it off to Lupton. Perhaps, we know how good his kicking has been today, perhaps Sam Martin needed to take that shot on goal. The students will go with a long kick in towards Banuelos, who takes a strong mark in between a couple of Demons. Nick Aino's gone down pretty hard there. He's still on his haunches. On the mark, Nick Aino. He gets to his feet now a little slowly, and that allows Tom Banuelos to run around the man on the mark. Goes with a very high ball to Tagliabue, who's up against a few Demons. Spina and Davies contested. It comes to Tagliabue, but his hand pass is intercepted by Paik, who keeps the ball in play. Kicks it beyond the wing. Coming through is Adamson, who did well, the young Jack Adamson. Off to Vardaniga. He kicks to Carr inside 50. Carr can't take the mark. Swans at the back. The ball's paddled towards the boundary line and out of play, and we'll get a throw in just outside 50 for the Canberra Demons, who are attacking late in this quarter. They trail by 5 points.
Vidaniga limping off there. Not sure whether it's an injury or a cramp. I suspect it's more a cramp, going by the way that he's now stretched out a little bit more and walking more smoothly as he makes his way to the bench. Ball in dispute at the moment. In going over the top of it was Lupton. Couldn't do anything with it, but it comes off the pack. Oh, well, it's actually not touched there. That's a good grab there to Nick Ano, but he took, he didn't have much time left in the end. We can't say he took too long. The siren sounds short siren. Umpire's very hot on the siren there, and after 2 quarters that went well in excess of 33 minutes, that third term not even managing 29, but at the 3-quarter time break, it is Canberra 10-9-69, Sydney Uni 11-8-74. We've got a belter coming up here to wrap this one up at Footy Park in Phillip here in Canberra. Don't go away, a very exciting last quarter coming up on this Saturday afternoon, round 14 NEAFL TV Clash. 1 quarter of football to go. Sydney Uni have held the lead for the vast bulk of today. Canberra have been in front for no more than 2.5 minutes, or maybe 1 second more than 2.5 minutes. But right now it is the students who hold sway. 11-8-74 over the Canberra Demons, 10-9-69. This game potentially massive implications for the finals campaigns of both of these sides, though, a 6th and 8th respectively, Sydney and Canberra, coming into this one. And, well, it'll be a step closer potentially to a finals berth for one of these sides later on this afternoon. I'm Chris Coleman. Eddie Williams, take us away to start the final term.
Everything to play for in this final quarter. Both sides coming in off the back of 3 straight losses, and only percentage separates them on the ladder. Tagliabue and Maynard went at it in ruck. Smout lays a big tackle. We'll get a secondary stoppage in the middle of Phillip Oval. So it's the Canberra Demons taking on Sydney University in this final quarter. Again, we get a stalemate and we'll get another ball up. It's the Demons going to the left of your screen to the northern end in the last term. Sydney Uni kicking to the right of screen to the Woden end of the ground. Tagliabue knocked it down two-handed, but straight to the opposite ruckman in Maynard, who kicks it straight up and down more or less. Definitely no 15 that time. The Demons have worked it inside 50. Hardy gets the hand pass out. It's kicked towards the goal square. Andrew Swan is there. So Stevenson. Stevenson couldn't take it in the end. Moline came in. Fans call for holding the ball. The umpire will come in and ball it up in a dangerous position here for Canberra. A goal here would put the Demons in front. And as Chris mentioned, they have not spent much time in front this afternoon. It comes to Jared Osborne. And Jared Osborne, with his 23rd disposal, has put the Demons in front.
His first goal of the day, just his 3rd of the season, and they don't come much more crucial than that. The man who's much more renowned as a hard-tackling player for this Canberra side, and a man who is used to getting the ball up from the other end of the park. But today, his first goal, and as I said, just his 3rd for the season. And yes, in front by 1 point. And as mentioned before, Eddie, it's been 2 minutes and 31 seconds up to this point, and their lead has never been more than 1 point.
He's stepped up today, Jared Osborne, in the absence of Maguire, Baker, Highmore. He stepped up off the halfback flank. He spent some time in the middle, and there he was in the forward line, kicking that goal. An excellent finish and a bit of momentum for the Demons early in the final term.
They're on 11-9-75. Sydney Uni 11-8-74. Can Canberra get the next one? That'll be a rebound, you would imagine. No, play on, says the umpire, as Tagliabue manages to just reach up and tap the ball while it's inside the circle, but it only goes as far as Hardy for Canberra. Now off the pack, Owen Orban, he has it, taps it forward. Pack forms once again, goes out, it's pulled back in. This might be dangerous stuff. No, the umpire, in this case Sam Herford, allows the benefit of the doubt to go and says, no, we'll bounce it back up or we'll ball it back up again, just outside the centre square. Beautiful sunny afternoon here now for Canberra. Hardy runs through the pack after the bounce, puts a clearing kick, and it goes to, well, there's nobody in particular who's going to be getting there. Connor Owen Orban is the first man to it, but he gets it just after it's gone over the boundary line. Throw in, 2.5 minutes gone in the final term, and a 1-point ball game at Phillip Oval. Footy Park for the old stages here in the nation's capital. And the Canberra Demons looking to keep their season alive and maybe even catapult themselves back into the top 6 after this afternoon. And they've got a chance to do so now. Waiting for it is Swan. He gets himself clear. He can't wait to get it first time, but he gets it off the pack and he somehow held onto it. Pops a little hand pass away. I reckon that might have been Osborne again who got it. But this time he's away for a point. But he doubles the Canberra side lead, and indeed gives them their biggest lead of the day. They're up by 2 whole points, Eddie Williams.
I don't know if it's quite time to be icing the clock for the Canberra Demons, but they are ahead by 2 points, and it's Sydney University who have to make the running now. They go with a long kick in. Was out towards Tagliabue, who was up against Maynard. He had Will Sirikowski there with him as well, and the students get the ball working forward. Bit of time to run and carry here for Tristan Davies, who's found himself further away from goal than he would normally be. Had a couple of bounces, kicked inside 50. The flying shot on goal from Jack Hiscox misses to the right, and it's a 1-point ball game again.
Well, the former Glebe Greyhounds junior was looking for his 6th goal for the season. Would have been an important one. But we're back to a 1-point game.
So the Demons with a long kick in towards Maynard, who had to spoil in the end. And it's a free kick there. He might have made a bit of high contact or chopped the arms there with that spoiled Josh Maynard. And Sam Tagliabue, the Sydney Uni captain, sends his side back inside 50. Pake's in a good position for Canberra. Got hands to the ball. Davies tapped it on to his teammate there. Might have been Bailey Stewart. But the kick again is away to the right. And the scores are level.
Oh, we're all tied up again. So Canberra's total time in the lead remains under 6 minutes altogether in this game. I think the scores have been level for more than Canberra have been in front this afternoon. But the Demons have the ball at the moment. They've got free players on this side of the ground and instead go short and almost get themselves into and then out of a little bit of trouble. That's a strong mark. Good work there by Riley Corbett. The former Ganmain Grong Matong Lion. Now he finds Jordan Harper. Harper continuing this smart possession play. Is that Adamson? I think it is. Right over on the far side of the ground. Sends the ball further up into attack. Comes off the hands of the pack. And then, well, this could be Swan's chance to really do some damage. He runs to his left, he runs to his right, but I think he's sprayed it. He has, just a little bit to the right, puts his side back in front, but oh, what could have been. It's been a story for the Canberra Demons a number of times at this ground, but they're 1 point up, 77-76.
Well, we're going point for point in this final quarter. The Demons have kicked 1 goal, 2 so far. Sydney Uni with 2 behinds in this final term. A bit of hesitation from the students in their defensive 50. Eventually the kick comes to Jack Hiscox. He's hard up against the boundary line and looks like Cade Klemke has followed him down the ground as Hiscox goes down the line. Pake's in front. Pake juggles the mark. Strong mark there by the Demons' key tall player among a pack of 3 students. He'll go off the left boot. Pops it inside 50. Harry Carr will fly and Harry Carr couldn't quite hold the mark. Adamson's waiting for it to come out. Then he dives on top of the pack. We'll get a ball up inside 50 for Canberra. There's a lot of pointing going on.
Lupton's been injured there and is not in a good way at all. He's coming off with his...
I don't think it's Lupton, Chris. It's someone coming off with a gash to the head there. Might be Adam. It's Tarry Carr.
The Tarry Carr. Okay, there we go. It was hard to tell because he had his head bent forward.
And there's a couple of other players coming off. I saw the umpire give the blood rule signal there.
Yeah, they've got some of the claret from Harry Carr on them. I think they'll need to be rinsed off.
So that looks like Luke Robertson's coming from the ground there for Sydney Uni.
Robertson comes off, and also coming off for Canberra is Jack Adamson. I don't think either of them injured, just a little bit of blood from Carr on them, so they're being washed off, and the play will resume deep in attack for Canberra.
So it comes out to Tagliabue, who cleverly tapped it on there to his teammate. Kicks into the corridor. Klemke led the race to the footy and takes the mark, and the Canberra playing coach can send his side into attack again.
A kick from the corner of the square, or just short of. Plenty of players. The pack is there, but look at that. Riley Corbett. Hard to believe it's only his second game. He's looked right at home here for this Canberra Demons side. He knows how to mark. He knows how to goal. I said before he picked up, I think it was actually the full goal-kicking title for the RFL when he kicked 70 in a season in the Riverina Football League for the Ganmain Lions. So he knows how to mark, he knows how to kick a goal, and he may well be a long-term prospect for this Demons side. Takes a strong mark here, and is now a chance to put his side out by more than a goal for the first time. In fact, more than 2 points for the first time today. He squeezes it in just adjacent to the left post. And it's bounced off a post behind the goal there, Eddie, which is what I was waiting for because I couldn't tell whether it hit the post or the post behind the post. But it's marked as a major. And suddenly the Canberra Demons have a 7-point break. Riley Corbett gets his first goal of the day, his second goal in Demons colours, and it's Canberra 83, Sydney Uni 76.
You couldn't get much closer to the post than that, but Riley Corbett, he knows where the goals are. He squeezed it through. 70 goals would win you the goal kicking in most competitions, and 1 goal, enough to extend the Demons' lead to 7. And the young man from Ganmain, Grong Matong.
I'm not sure which town he's from, whether he's from Ganmain or Grong or Matong, or whether he's from somewhere else up that way, whether he might be one of the defectors from Coleman, or whether he travelled out from Wagga. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see what we can find out.
Perhaps they could merge with the Canberra Demons and we could call them Canberra, Ganmain, Grong Matong Demon Lions. But anyway, Sydney Uni win the clearance here. They get it working towards their half-forward line. Billy Clark got a hand on it, knocks it towards the boundary line. With him was Monty Crockmore, and he takes it over the line. It'll be thrown in front of the Sydney Uni interchange bench. It looks like their captain Sam Tagliabue just getting a bit of a rub down on his lower leg. So it'll be Tom Banuelos to go up in ruck here against Alex Paik, with Maynard and Tagliabue both off the ground. Paik leads the chase to the ball, but he knocked it straight down to Morrison, who's immediately tackled, managed to get the hand pass out. It comes to Evans. He's wrapped up by Vella. Ball spills free to Morrison again, who's tackled by Harper. He's taken over the boundary line, and we'll get another throw in. Morrison threw the ball at Harper. The boundary umpire will come in to pick it up, and we'll get another stoppage in front of that Sydney University interchange bench. The students finding themselves behind by 7 points. We've played more than 10 minutes in this final quarter. Sydney Uni dominating most of this match, but the Demons, a brave effort today. They've stuck with them, and they've found themselves in front in this final term. A good tackle there by Cal Evans, and he wins a free for holding the ball. In fact, it was Jared Osborne with the tackle on Banuelos. And another disposal coming up here for Osborne, giving his side real momentum this afternoon. He goes off the left foot, kicks it beyond the wing. Lupton will fly. So too Tom Fall, and Fall takes the mark.
Oh, he knows how to take a grab, doesn't he? And he's going out to stand up to be counted as he turns around and he puts it into the forward line. We're standing all on his own is Hardy. Massive chance here for Canberra to start putting the stamp of authority on this game. What was Hardy doing on his own there? There was nobody within cooey of him.
Well, another recruit from the Riverina. Kicked one from outside 50 earlier this afternoon. He's got 2 so far in game number 50 for the club. And he's looking for his third here, Mitch Hardy.
We saw Corbett get one from here, squeezed it in just to the left of the upright a few moments ago. And, well, Hardy has aimed it to the right. It's gone very much to the right. It turns back a little bit late, but it's only through for a point. But every point vital at this stage of proceedings. Canberra take their lead out to 8. 12-12-84 to Sydney Uni, 11-10-76.
Harry Carr has had his head heavily strapped and looks like he's ready to come back onto the ground after coming off with a lot of blood a few minutes ago. Sydney Uni, a good movement forward here. Nick Foster's up against 2 Demons. Doing well there was Martin, but it comes back to Foster, who fires towards goal. He misses to the right.
I tell you, that looked a little bit panicky there from Foster. There was nobody forward of him. I know there were 2 Canberra players in there, but he had time to take a run and get steady for a few steps. Instead, blazed away from 50 and only got the minor score. So 7 points the difference. Could so easily have been 2 as Canberra bring the ball back into play once again. And I think that might be Smout over there who's got the ball, but only momentarily as the ball goes to the boundary line. And you're not wrong about the tape around the head of Harry Carr. He almost looks like he's got some sort of ancient Buddhist hairstyle or something going in front of us here at the interchange gates. He's still waiting to come back on as the ball is thrown back into play. Tapped down one by Paik, and it's Canberra. It's all Canberra at the moment as Richardson gets a little hand pass away. Who's waiting up forward? There's Tom Fall. He just uses his body and he sets himself. And now he's too far out to score, but he's got a couple of players waiting for it downfield. He goes for the long option, and that would be Swan. Swan with the hand pass goes back to Corbett, and Corbett, he gets number 2. Oh, he's on fire, the young man. And so are the Canberra Demons. 13-12-90. A 13-point break over the fancied Sydney Uni side, 11-11-77.
Well, what a time to bob up and kick your first 2 goals of the afternoon. Riley Corbett getting his way into this contest. He's competed pretty well today. At times he's found himself doing the ruck, and he's getting the reward for effort in this final quarter with 2 goals. And that puts his side 13 points clear as we tick over the 13-minute mark in this final quarter. It's the Canberra Demons 13-12-90, leading Sydney Uni 11-11-77. And the Demons have kicked 3 goals, 3 in this quarter. Sydney Uni just the 3 behind.
I've just punched Riley Corbett's name into a search engine. The first 2 things that come up. Riley Corbett kicks 9 goals as Ganmain Grong Matong monster manga player. Riley Corbett kicks 9 goals in Ganbei and Grong Matong's 18-point win over Collingully Glenfield Park. I can tell you, neither of those sides slouchy oppositions, and he knows how to kick a bag against good quality fields. There he is, the man with the new look head. That is Harry Carr. Goes for a little hand pass, gets it onto Kel Evans. Evans with the hand pass back over his head. Is that Harper in there? I think it might have been. Ball comes free. Carr chasing after it, picks it up off the turf. He's brought to ground. Umpire will ball it up 25 out from the Canberra goal.
How many times have we mentioned Ganbei and Grong Matong today? They're getting a good mention here on NEAFL TV this afternoon. Round 14 action.
Tell you the other thing about Ganbei, they do really good pies out there at the bakery.
And the Woden Blues doing a good effort in the canteen today. The ball comes free from the contest only momentarily. It's kicked towards the goal there by Kel Evans.
Comes off the hands of Goulden.
And through for a minor score. So the lead now out to 14 points, 13-13. The Canberra Demons, 11-11 Sydney Uni.
Well, the Uni side bring it straight back in. Bailey Stewart, he's been quiet in this last quarter. Goes for the short ball. Finds Bartholomew, who likewise has been quiet in this final term. But don't put the cue in the rack just yet if you're watching with us on NEAFL TV, because I reckon there's going to be a bit more of a push come from this Sydney Uni side to try and close it up. They've gone back to Reinhardt, and now they'll work it around the outside. Who's running into space? Bartholomew's is one of them. There's Sirakowski also in space over there. That would be Andrew Sirakowski. Instead, they go for the long ball. Mark's been taken about the furthest reaches of the ground from us. And I reckon it might be Carroll who's got it.
Yep.
He sends the ball further around the sideline. Underneath it was Crockmall. Umpire has, however, blown the whistle and found a free kick going Sydney University's way. I had the binoculars up, so I didn't see what was happening outside the field of view. They come back inside, and it's with Goulden. Goulden puts the ball towards centre half forward. They're getting into space now, this Sydney University side. Hiscox is waiting on his own, but the pass has been cut off. And that was Smout. And the umpire's got in the way and been absolutely decked there. Who was that? It was Martin who's cleaned him up. As a result, Sydney Uni, well, fortune's going to favour them as the kick has come back in. Davies has taken the mark. Umpire appears to be okay. It's just one of those things that happens, and, well, the luck has gone the way of the students this time.
I think Alex Smout caught everyone a bit off guard with that quick hand pass after he took the mark. He certainly took the umpire off guard, and just an unfortunate accident there. Looks like everyone's okay, and Tristan Davies, another mark, another shot on goal, looking for his third.
Canberra will be filthy about this. They had a chance to get the fast break, and it was Martin who ran into the umpire, who was going into the space where the hand pass was going, and suddenly found himself obstructed by an animate object as opposed to an inanimate object. Ball has gone to the left. It's gone, I was going to say off hands, but actually in hands, and through for a point. So we're back to a 13-point game as Sydney Uni move on to 11-12-78. Canberra 13-13-91. 17 minutes gone in the final term. It ain't over yet, Ed.
Sydney Uni will be ruining their inaccuracy in this second half. Since half-time, Sydney University has kicked 1 goal 8. 1 goal 8 for the students. So that's cost them in this second half as Sam Martin has the ball at fullback for Canberra. His side leading by 13 points. They've got it in the back pocket. The kick will come towards Moline and Lupton. A 2-on-2 contest. Moline stands tall and takes the mark in front of Darcy Cordell. So Lucas Moline, who stepped up a bit today in the absence of a few other senior players, his kick is towards the boundary line. And it was juggled over the line. The boundary umpire in perfect position there. Andrew Swan doesn't agree with the decision, but he got hands on it inside the field of play. Didn't complete the catch until it was over the boundary line. And we'll get a boundary throw in here as Josh Maynard prepares to go at it again. A pretty good battle between Maynard and Tagliabue today. I wouldn't say one of them has gotten a clear victory over the other. Jordan Harper, yet another clearance. Kicks it to Tom Fall, who's in a one-on-one contest. His arm was being held there, I think. Play on, advantage, Harry Carr kicks the goal.
Well, the bump to the head doesn't seem to have done Harry Carr any harm at all, and the tape around it is not upsetting his balance at all. He's smart enough to say, hang on, we've got the free. If I keep going here, they'll say we've got the advantage. They get the advantage, and they turn it into a big advantage on the scoreboard, and they're now leading by nearly 20 points. It's 14-13, 97 to 11-12-78.
Harry Carr's first goal of the day, and I think a couple of times Tom Fall has just had the Sydney Uni defence a bit nervous. That's a couple of occasions where they've had an open forward line. The ball's come into Tom Fall on a one-on-one, and he's been able to draw a free kick for some holding on. And he's been a good focal point for them today, Tom Fall, and created some opportunities for his teammates.
14 goals to Canberra this afternoon, 11 different goal scorers. It's one thing that we've said about this Canberra side. They've never really had a standout full forward, and you never know what Riley Corbett might turn into for them. But at this stage, it's a real artillery effort, and when it's on fire, which it is at the moment, it's very hard to stop. But Sydney, well, they need to score, and they need to score a couple of times. And taking the ball out of the middle of the park was Harry Morrison. Morrison's kick down to forward, though, is marked by Alex Pake, deep in defence for the Canberra Demons. And he'll take his time here now. It's not time to ice the clock, but it's certainly time to take your time. He goes for a short run, goes around the outside of the ground, and let's just say it's not the best kick that we've seen from Pake during the course of the day as the ball is coming back in towards him. And it's on the ground. Stern looks like he can get in there. He can't. Ball bounces away towards Goulden. Goulden, has he taken the snap? He's taken the snap. He scores the goal. Now, they'll celebrate because of the goal, but they can't afford to take too much time celebrating, because they are still down by more than two majors. Sydney Uni go to 12-12-84. Canberra 14-13-97. 20 minutes about to tick up on the clock. It'll be 20 minutes by the time the ball is brought back in, and Goulden gets his first for the afternoon.
Great finish there by Adam Goulden, and just an unfortunate turnover from Alex Pake with his kick out of defence, helping to create that opportunity for Sydney Uni. There have been some highlights today. There have been some nice finishes, some nice passages of play, and a pretty entertaining afternoon at the footy. A high-scoring match. Sydney Uni with their first goal for the quarter. They're 12-12-84. Canberra is in front, 14-13-97.
Well, Canberra kicked 7 goals this half, and Sydney have kicked just 2. But still plenty of footy left in this one. I can see on the bench for Canberra, Vardaniger and Smout. So there's some artillery to have locked away in the cupboard at the moment as the Canberra tried to get it out. I think it was Osborne trying to get the clearing kick, but it's fallen once again to Goulden. He kicks a goal. Now he comes into the middle of the park and tries to set up another one. Taking it away for Canberra is Spina. Spina can't do much with it. His short pass is taken over the boundary line by Klemke, and the ball will be thrown in. Woden into the ground in attack for Sydney. I've never called a draw, by the way, in Aussie rules, Eddie. Just thought I'd throw that in at the moment with a 13-point margin. Ball thrown back in. Tagliabue taps it back over his head. The ball is then kicked into forward. Waiting for is Foster. Now, Foster is on a devil of an angle here. Could be a little bit further around, but not much further. Has 2 goals so far today to add to his 7 prior to today for the season.
That was well read there by Nick Foster. The kick wasn't necessarily meant to go there, but he read it well and took the mark.
Comes in, goes with the with the right foot, and gets enough curl back on it to bring the margin back to 7 points with his 3rd for the day. Did say this one wasn't over yet.
And the travelling fans have found a bit of voice. There's a pack of Sydney Uni fans to the right of your screen sitting on the hill there. They enjoyed that goal. They're starting to get into this contest. It's a 7-point game. We're into time on. Both sides desperate for a win this afternoon, and this should be a pretty entertaining final 10 minutes or so.
Tell you what, Eddie, we've called a number of NEAFL games over the last couple of seasons. I reckon this one would be about the best of the lot that we've had here. Certainly the best game we've had here at Phillip Oval. On NEAFL TV.
Well, the scoreboard tells you that, 90-97, and it could have been an even higher score. A little bit of inaccuracy from both sides, particularly from Sydney Uni in this second half. Maynard and Tagliabue ready again at this centre bounce as the umpire bounces it down. A nice straight bounce there. Tagliabue knocks it forward. Vella had it momentarily. It then came to Maynard, who was immediately tackled, and will get a secondary ball up, still in the centre square, slightly the Sydney Uni forward half of the ground. As the umpire throws it up, Vella is running onto it. Bursting through was Stevenson. It comes to Stewart. It missed him. Now Hardy kicks it forward for Canberra. Carr couldn't take the mark. Tom Falls lurking. Carr just pokes at the ball. It will come off Canberra's way with a hand pass to Cal Evans. He goes inside 50. Not a great kick. Carroll has taken the mark up against Swan. He'll look to go across the ground into the corridor. Goulden takes the mark, plays on against Klemke, kicks it out to the wing. Another good build-up here by Sydney Uni. A low ball, bounces towards Hiscox. Coming through, though, was Maynard, and they've turned it over. Maynard gave it off to Clark, and now Harry Carr finds himself in a bit of space. Ball just bouncing away from him. Carr gathers, he's tackled, he gets boot to ball, but he's coughed it up, and Sydney Uni can rebound off half-back again.
You'd reckon one more score for Canberra would just about do them, but Sydney, they're not going down without a fight. Goulden, he's been instrumental in their fight back in the last couple of minutes, but it's Canberra once again coming through the middle of the park.
And it's Osborne again.
Boy, just at critical moments, he just rushes in. Takes his time with the kick, puts it high in the air. It'll come down right on the 50-metre arc. But it's Sydney, and I reckon that might be Tagliabue who's got it. They turn around, come across the field. Stevenson has it. He has plenty of open space in front of him. Does he go for a run? No, he turns it back on the inside. They've got options everywhere at the moment. Hiscock's running up the middle. Shorter than him is Stewart. That's where they go. Stern on the outside. Hiscock's in the middle. Stewart. Well, Canberra won't mind him taking as much time as he wants. Jeez, he's kicked it backwards. Goes again to Reinhardt. And then on the far side of the ground, oh, look at this. Hardy's coming in. It's almost as though it's Sydney who are milking the clock at the moment. Veal has it. He's inside his own defensive 50 still. 24 and a half gone. Ball high in the air. A bit of push and shove, and it goes, well, to the advantage of Canberra, but then bounces back to the advantage of Sydney. Calling for it is Goulden. Goulden gets it on the 50. Has to run in, takes the shot, puts the ball right into the teeth of goal, and I think Hiscox has run the length of the ground, and he's taken a mark between the goal post and the behind post. It's a 7-point game, 25 minutes have gone, and he's going to be coming in on a very acute angle to try and kick this one. Hasn't kicked a goal today, Jack Hiscox. But he has now. 1 for the day, 6 for the season, 1 point the difference. Into time on. Where's your money go, Eddie, if you're a betting man?
Well, they thought their way through that really well, Sydney Uni. It looked slow, but the Canberra Demons had manned up. They closed down all the one-on-one options, and then sometimes a bit of chaos just opened things up. And the Demons had matched up well one-on-one, but suddenly the ball spilt free, and that created a bit of space and an opportunity for Jack Hiscox, who did fantastically well to really move up the ground as that passage of play was continuing. So, look, if Sydney Uni can think their way through like that, albeit in a small amount of time, they'll be able to create more chances. The Demons need another score here if they're to hold on.
The other thing that's done good for Sydney Uni is that they found different paths to goal. Goulden and Hiscox getting their last 2 goals, their first goal each for the afternoon. But it's Canberra who take the ball away now from the centre circle, and underneath it there was Swan. Swan gets it onto Carr. Carr's ball winds up in front of Hardy. Hardy then finds Harper. Harper onto a teammate, and then it comes back to him. He keeps it in play. May have been better to have just taken another step over the line, but instead he's found someone else in support, and that would be Swan, who's run right over into the pocket. Be a crucial kick here from the junction of the 50-metre arc and the boundary line, Eddie.
Tough kick late in the game. They often say that the first side to 100 tends to win. Can Andrew Swan get the Demons past the century here?
I reckon a goal here would be enough, because it would mean that Sydney would have to score twice. It's a tough old kick for a guy who hasn't played footy in 400 days, but he puts it through. Oh, that might just be the match winner. What a way to mark your comeback to Andrew Swan.
Well, the Canberra Demons players come from everywhere, and an overwhelming outpouring of emotion on the field and from the crowd. Andrew Swan, 2 goals in his first game back, 393 days after rupturing his ACL. He's one of the co-vice captains, but the other co-vice captains and the captain are all out injured, so he's leading the side today, and he's leading them from the front, and he's given them a 7-point lead deep into time on.
Pressure? What pressure? He eats it for breakfast.
To some extent, having missed so much football actually means he perhaps is a little fresher. He may not be used to the length of the game, but he clearly hasn't lost any legs late in the game here. An outstanding finish by Andrew Swan. And Sydney Uni really need to throw caution to the wind in the final few minutes. They were beaten by 2 points last week. They won't want to find themselves on the wrong side of another tight margin today.
28 gone, Canberra 103, Sydney Uni 96. Ball in dispute in the centre circle. Canberra won't mind this at all, but it comes out as Tagliabue just reaches it out from underneath the pack. Gives it to Will Sirakowski. He just bangs it on the boot, sends it into the forward line. It's been picked up by Paik. Paik finds a teammate who kicks it around the side of the ground. Coming in to try and pick it up will be Harper. He can't control it. Nobody he can. Ball still in dispute. Comes out from under the pack. It goes Sydney University's way, courtesy of Cole. Cole puts it in towards the hot spot. Comes off the hands once again. There's all sorts of Canberra jumpers back here. Almost everyone for the Demons is back inside the defensive 50 now, and the umpire says he'll ball it up 20 out from the goals. 28 and a half gone. I have no idea how long it'll be left, Eddie, but I reckon we might have another 90 seconds of play.
It's thrown up deep inside 50. Tagliabue knocks it down to Stevenson, who kicks it towards goal. It's off hands. A crucial hand there from Jonathan Spina, but maybe a handy point. And the margin is one straight kick.
So I've never called a goal before, a draw before. Be careful what you wish for. Hey, Ed.
How will the Demons approach this? Osborne goes with a long ball down the line. A big contest. They'll be pretty happy to get the ball out of play. Hardy's there. The ball does go out of bounds, and we get a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for Sydney University, who trail by 6 points. We've played nearly half an hour in this final quarter. The ball comes back into play. Maynard and Tagliabue, the boundary umpire, perhaps a little tired. Everyone a bit tired getting to the ball there. It's hacked forward Canberra's way. Harry Carr does well. Picks the ball up. He's tackled. He's near the boundary line. Players appealing for holding the ball. The umpire decides to come in and ball it up, and this time the stoppage is between wing and half forward for Canberra.
29 minutes and 45 seconds as the ball is sent into the air again. Canberra will be the ones who benefit from it. High in the air, waiting underneath it was Corbett. Couldn't take the mark. It's still just outside their forward 50. Now it goes inside the forward 50 by hand. It's with Harry Carr. Carr blazes for the goal. I think it's been touched. It's going to stay in the field of play. Turning around onto it. Is that Swan? It is. He reaches in. He picks it up. He loses control of it. Sydney will take it away. They've got a long way to go. And they'll only level the score if they can get the next goal. It's still in their own defensive area. Dragged away from it was Bartholomew's. It goes to ground. Clearing kick from Sydney Uni. Underneath it though, for the Canberra Demons, is Sam Martin. He's had a blinder this afternoon. I don't know if he can kick it from here, but who would you blame him for taking his time here? Because it'll melt. Vital time off the clock. He's going to have a shot from 55 out, Ed.
That was desperate defence from Sydney Uni. They didn't want to concede a point. They did well not to, but then the quick kick out of defence was turned over, and Sam Martin with a chance to seal the game here for the Canberra Demons. He'll probably have to kick from beyond the pain of 50. He trots in. The right foot drop punt. It's a pretty good looking kick from Sam Martin. It's going to fall short. It's knocked back into play. Stewart gave the quick hand pass off, and here's one last roll of the dice for Sydney Uni. Banuelos dropped one he might have taken, but he recovered well. Hands it off there to Cole. Cole with quick hands to Davies. Just throws it on the boot towards Foster. It's over him, but his opponent fell over. Foster and Stern chasing after the ball. Foster picks it up. He's tackled by Klemke. Great defence by Cade Klemke. What will the umpire say here? He's going to say that it's holding the ball.
Oh, huge call.
The umpire has paid a free kick to Nick Foster directly in front, 25 metres out, with the scores level. With a kick to make the scores level.
Klemke reached for the ball, and you just saw the arm come out and pull it in underneath him. We've seen a couple of them let go, but will Foster tie it all up here? Deep into time on. Oh, he does. The Sydney Uni fans are excited. The Canberra fans are devastated. We have 32 minutes about to tick up on the clock right now, and it is 15-13, 103 apiece.
Well, that is one of the last kicks of the day. It's 4 goals for Nick Foster. Tom Fall comes onto the ground for Jack Adamson. This could be the last stoppage we see of this match. There cannot be long to go. Who can get the centre clearance here and try to scramble the ball through, even if it's for a rushed behind? Both sides desperate. They're coming in off the back of 3 straight losses. They were both beaten last week. Canberra by 80 points. Sydney Uni by just 2. Who knows what's going to happen, Chris Coleman?
Well, I said before, it might not come down to who wins it, but who loses it. I didn't include the possibility that it might go neither way. Owen Orban gets the ball out of the centre for Canberra. I think it was Moline who sent it into the forward line for them. They won't care about the score. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The siren sounds. It's all locked up. And, well, what a game of footy it's been. A neutral observer would have absolutely been delighted by this one. I think in the end, the fans of both sides, Eddie, are going to be absolutely shattered at how that one's finished up. It's the old line, a draw is like kissing your sister, but the problem is that when you're locked in a three-way battle for what may be the final berth in the finals, a draw doesn't do you or your opponents any good at all. 15-13, 103 apiece for these sides this afternoon. And you know who will have enjoyed that more than just about anybody else will be the Gold Coast Suns, who of course had a win earlier this afternoon and will now take outright possession of sixth spot.
Well, there are hands on hips and hands on heads everywhere across the ground. That late goal by Nick Foster after winning a free for holding the ball, levelling the scores. And I've got to say, Chris, it sort of feels like the fair result. They have been evenly matched for a long time, these two sides. They were very evenly matched this afternoon. The stats tell us that they were pretty evenly matched across the board. Canberra had 10 more disposals. Sydney Uni had 6 more marks and 4 more tackles. The free kicks, Sydney Uni had 4 more frees than Canberra. Canberra had 5 more hitouts, 12 more clearances. The inside 50s were only 1 extra. The rebound 50s were equal. So the stats tell us it was an even game. The scoreboard tells us it could not possibly have been any more even. One positive I would take from a Canberra perspective, well, there are 2 positives I've taken for a Canberra perspective. One is that their percentage is not great. This takes the percentage out of the equation largely, although it means they'll still be level pegging with Sydney Uni. But in terms of their battle with other sides, it takes percentage out of the equation. And what a positive. We said at the start of the game that it was going to be a very tough day at the office for Canberra. No Baker, no Bruce, no Budd, no Highmore. There are a string of other players who are out injured today. Maguire, Powell, House. There are 7 of their best players all missing. Outstanding efforts today from some of their lesser lights. We've got to give credit to Jared Osborne, who I thought was Canberra's best, with 30 disposals, 6 marks, 5 tackles, 3 clearances and 3 inside 50s. What a performance by Alex Smout, again as well, with 38 touches and 12 clearances to Alex Smout. Josh Maynard fought incredibly hard in the ruck with 40 hitouts. Sam Tagliabue had 31 hitouts for Sydney Uni. Sydney Uni's leading disposal winner was Lewis Stevenson with 28 touches. Pretty even performances across the board from both sides. And as we say again, the scoreboard could not have been any more even.
No, there's been questions, and I think, Eddie, it's not unfair to say that over the past couple of seasons there have been questions about the Canberra Demons club and how far down their depth goes in past seasons. And I know there's been a real effort by the recruiters at the Canberra club to try and just find a way so that there isn't such a big gap between, say, 15 and 25, and I think this club has finally achieved that today. And some of these players who were called up late into proceedings, who came in off the emergencies bench, I'm talking Owen Orban, who got a Rising Star nomination earlier in the season and hasn't been consistent through the course of the year today, was in there for a lot of the game. Aino, Adamson, the other players coming in off the bench, Klemke coming back from injury today, other players in the fringe there who are going to be good for this club in the future, like Riley Corbett, who got those 2 tremendous goals, Billy Clark and Liam Lupton. So the depth is now building at this club. Sydney Uni, they'll be disappointed, but they will know again that, they found a way at the end of the game to score through players who hadn't contributed a heap in the past. Hiscox and Gordon, both goaling in the last quarter. Between the 2 of them had managed 7 goals for the course of the season earlier, prior to today. Quick run through the goal scorers. For the Canberra side, it was Swan with 2, Corbett with 2, Moline with 2, and Hardy was the other player who got 2. Fall, Evans, Osborne, Harper, Carr, Martin and Pollock all had singles. For Sydney Uni, Foster wound up with 4. Stern had 3, all of them in the first quarter, and Canberra did well to shut him down thereafter. 2 to Tristan Davies, and singles to Banuelos, Morrison, Crockmole, Veal, Goulden and Hiscox. So Canberra and Sydney, well, they maintain their battle. They'll be 7th and 8th after today, both with 4 wins and a draw. Eddie?
So where to from here? Next week, next Saturday, the 13th of July, Sydney Uni back at home at the Blacktown International Sports Park. 1 p.m. they host the Gold Coast Suns. And Chris, you and I will be back here midday next Saturday as the Canberra Demons host Redland. 2 more very important games for these two sides as the race for the NEAFL finals really starts to heat up.
Tell you what, it'll need to be a very, very good game to be better than what we've seen here this afternoon. The NEAFL just keeps turning it on in 2019. And I know tonight it'll be a cracker as well up there in Darwin when the Northern Territory Thunder get back out there. And greetings to all the fans watching from the top end as well. On behalf of everyone at the NEAFL and our friends at Bar TV, standing alongside me, Eddie Williams, this is Chris Coleman signing off from Footy Park, Phillip Oval, where it has finished up in a draw, 15-13 apiece between the Canberra Demons and the Sydney University.